Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress, and I am so happy you guys are here today. Gosh, we have a wonderful show. Of course, I love all my shows. Okay, I don't know if y'all love them as much as I do, but I'm having so much fun talking about cryptids and weird stuff with all of y'all, and it feels so good to be back. Yes, you guys, I was gone to the Super Soldier Activation Conference all weekend, and I did have a couple of recorded shows for you guys, and I just got back. I was driving all day on Monday to get home, and all night. I got home really late, but anyways, I had a wonderful trip, and so thank you to everybody who joined us at the Super Soldier Activation Conference down in Orlando. I met so many wonderful people, including I got to meet Carrie Cassidy, hang out with her for a minute, and man, I guess I'll post some pictures on my social media later today. Okay, and you guys can see who all I was hanging out with. But I want to give a big shout out to all my friends out there, especially Sherry Divban and Aramis. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me. And Asha and James Rink put together a fantastic show, y'all. Fantastic conference. So shout out to James. I will be having James on my show soon, hopefully. Jimmy Payne is going to come on. We're going to be talking about werewolves at Area 51. And he's got some real good inside information. So y'all buckle up for that one. It's going to be a fun show. We do have Halloween coming up, fast approaching, within, what is that, like another 15 to a couple weeks. And so we got to get some spooky shows under our belt before Halloween hits. Okay, so we're going to plan on doing that. We're going to have some spooky cryptids and monsters to talk about today, as a matter of fact. We're going to get this Halloween month started off. I know it's halfway through the month, y'all, but we're going to talk a little bit today about headless monsters, including the headless horseman at the end of the show today. But we have other things to talk about with Barry Littleton. We've got Barry here in the studio today, and we're going to have a great conversation. We're going to be getting into Appalachian chimeras and hybrid creatures, as well as we have a 3-eye atlas update for y'all too. So we have a lot to talk about today. My child is home for fall break, so we ain't got no time limit today. And if you guys are down, I'm down to have the show go a little bit longer than normal for a weekday show and our afternoon show. So yes, we're not gonna keep you here all day though. Don't worry. Okay. but anyways, I'm super glad to see you guys. I'm glad to be back. And thank you to all my moderators for being here. Man, we got a good crowd today. And I'm super blessed, man. And I'm super excited to have Barry here with me as well. If you guys would like to follow along with all of my shows and check out my archives, go over to my website. That's thecryptidhuntress.com. And you can find all my shows over there, all my social media links, and my calendar of events. I just posted a new event. I took one off and then I added one. I don't have any more events until October the 8th. I will be at the Molina Bigfoot Festival. And so that is on the calendar. And I also added one more event. I am planning to be at a premiere. This is the Molina Bigfoot Festival on the screen right now. But I will be part of a documentary that's coming out. It's called The Vanished. And it's by Greg Ogles. Greg will be here next week. He's going to come on the show next Thursday, a week from tomorrow. Greg will be here. And we're going to talk about some of the missing people in the Appalachians. We're going to have, I definitely have a target for you guys, but he interviewed me about my remote viewing of the Dennis Martin case, and that is in his documentary. So we're going to have Greg on the show. We're going to talk about that next Thursday, and I will be at the premiere on January the 31st. Y'all come see us in Alabama. Okay. There's more information on my website for that. And I got some other events as well. Okay. Well, let's get to our show today. Okay, because, yeah, like I said, we got a lot to talk about. Y'all know me and Barry can talk too. Okay, so on this episode, we are exploring strange and unusual chimera and hybrid creatures encountered in the Appalachian Mountains, and we're going to take a deep dive into headless creatures with researcher and experiencer Barry Littleton. You can find him over on his YouTube channel and his Patreon. It is called Barry Littleton. Please help me welcome to the show my good friend, Barry Littleton. Hey, Barry.
Hey, what's happening? Wow, fascinating. It's actually people starting to, my YouTube channel, I'm starting to get like people interacting on there quite a bit, or like, responding and just discovering it. That's cool, because that channel's been there for like almost 10 years. That's cool.
Oh my gosh, 10 years! Wow.
Yeah, Hey, welcome back. I'm glad that conference went good for you. Definitely.
Thank you. It did. I really enjoyed. I enjoyed just giving presentations. Period. But I was able to showcase a bunch of the. I didn't do like a ton, but like at least 5 of the remote viewing targets that you and I have done, Barry, that you have tasked me with, and it had some kind of tie to the secret space program. Now, not all of them. I went over. I think I briefly just touched on them because I had so much to talk about, and I found out I was kind of feeling the audience out, and they wanted to hear more about Dogman and Bigfoot. Go figure, right? And so I talked about my research more than I just did the remote viewing targets, but I did cover TRAPPIST-1, the red dwarf planets, the Lights on Ceres was another one, and several others, Barry. But I did put your picture up on the screen for almost all of those, as though you were there with me. Okay, so you were there in spirit.
Nobody ran out, man. Like it's an energy weapon.
I directed Barry weapon. Yeah.
Well, thank you. That's really nice of you. Thanks.
Oh no, I had to give you all the credit where the credit was due. Okay.
You know, I tell you, I find it fascinating when you say that group was more looking towards cryptids and things like that, and that makes sense to a degree because you've got a lot of the space type of thing and contact stuff going on in that particular group of a different type too. So some of the other things, like it makes sense that they would want to hear a lot about that too. But you've done extensive work in that area too. Especially regarding the paranormal abilities of a lot of the cryptids or possible paranormal metaphysical capabilities.
Yes.
So since we're here, let's just go ahead and jump off the into the deep end immediately and just get it out of the way. Let's talk about the 3-eye atlas.
Oh, let's get that update out of the way.
Now, honestly, you sent me a clip today, okay? And I was very amazed. And I'll let you explain, but that for everybody, just a preview of it, the clip that she sent today to me was John Vivinco talking about with some other remote viewers seeing a reptilian aspect to Atlas 3-eye. They were even particularly saying draconian,
Yep.
But
that's
anyway,
what I had in my data, Barry. It was the same data that I had. And it was almost like it was kind of humorous because we were joking around about everyone else is seeing this, like it's all rainbows and butterflies. And what's wild too is that I just mentioned Sherry Divband, and I hung out with Sherry and her daughter Aramis a good chunk of the time I was there. I just love Sherry. We're good. She's a good friend of mine, and she said that she was really glad that I had publicly said that. That there was some kind of reptilian, or she said she wasn't picking up on reptilian, but she was picking up on something that was a little darker. And she was actually kind of hesitant to talk about that because everyone else, it's not that she didn't want to go against the crowd, but she was not seeing that with the majority of the people who were talking about it. But then I came along, I told her I was the bull in the china shop is what I told her. And I just talk about my data. And so I think I appreciate that coming from her. That she let me know that, because there's not many people that were talking about that until I found that I came across that video that I sent you today.
And for the record, and I'll ask people again, a lot of your audience is hip to my YouTube or subscribe. Please go on the playlist and check out the interviews or the Sadie Ranch. But there's a deal on there that I did with John Vivinco, and that was a deal about, we're just talking about the chupacabra and other things and some things that I had given you a target. I gave you the target of chupacabra because I wanted to compare what data you got compared to his and his teams. And there was a lot of similarities. So people should go back and check out those videos too, if you've not, the chupacabra ones. And that one was so far back that it'll be under my playlist. It should be, I don't know if it was on your channel or maybe, Texas Front Porch, or the other ones that we did before you started your own. So just to be aware, you and I did a lot of work before that even. So I think people need to be aware. Like give me an example. Tell me somebody else that remote viewed the Umites. Tell me one more person.
I didn't even know what that word meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. The what?
Yeah, and the UMO papers. You remote viewed those too.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh man.
and the origin of them. That was quite fascinating. Just stuff like that is really cool, I think, and it makes it fun. And
It does.
and I think that's necessary because we've got different groups of people right now that are starting to war within their own. They call them communities, but they're associations, and we're seeing a lot of that. So right now, bringing this type of information is important for those of us that are really looking for answers and the chance to expand our own consciousness and awareness. That's what this is about. We don't have that long here to enjoy our life, so try to make
Try
try
to
to
have
make
some
the best
fun.
of it and try to expand and go beyond where our normal parameters are. Anyway,
Oh,
so
yeah.
this will be interesting. So regarding 3-Eye Atlas, what do you think? Talk about it. Go on into it, my friend. I mean,
Well, okay, let's kind of discuss, because I don't remember everything that man said. Okay, but I can remember parts of it, because he said that when they were remote viewing it, they were seeing reptilians on board, but they were holographic reptilians. And the people who were remote viewing it, I believe, what he said was that they telepathically spoke to all of them, and it was the same message to all of them, is that they were coming here. Now this is disturbing to me, but this is what they said: they were coming here to take the star seeds. They were rounding up the star seeds. Now, is that good or bad?
Yes, I do.
What the
I do
hell?
remember the regular aspect. Yeah, I do. I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
don't mean to laugh.
Remember that?
Yeah, yes. Actually, I'm sorry, I forgot about that until you mentioned it. Yeah,
Yes.
you're right. That's the They're
I
coming
mean,
to steal.
you and I
the
spoke at the
seeds.
Starseed Disclosure Conference. So does that make us starseeds? Are they going to come get us? What does that mean?
Okay, so now let me ask you something. It's something that I have brought up before, okay? And it's interesting that I'm seeing it getting more attention now, not because of me, but just since it's come to light more. That I said I believe that remote viewing is part of the way that the galactic communication goes.
Mm-hmm.
And that you've got entities that they're already given us our own religions, okay? That there's definitely entities and organizations set up to control and influence you remote viewers and give you false information and false visions, false data. And I've talked also a lot about how some of these phenomenon are from consciousness and they're manifesting from consciousness. I know people don't like that, but that's a fact of a lot of these phenomenon are coming from consciousness. And I think this 3-Eye Atlas thing goes a lot into that. Right now, and you see, I heard the same hype about Halley's Comet when it was coming. And every so many years, and all these other things. I'm not saying it's not, but this seems to me like the perfect psyop for what they're calling these fake alien invasion, all this stuff that we're not going to get. But this is a part of some type of a psyop deal. This thing coming in here, and I'm not so sure that it's not influencing all of y'all. You got some people thinking it's some sort of second Jerusalem. You got other people thinking that it's or the space thing, or the other people that think it's that I don't know. But I find that you and John getting the same data is highly interesting, very interesting.
Yeah,
in terms of what are we going to deal with. So what happens when this thing comes and goes, and nothing happens at all? Are people going to start making it into this happened? There's this and that's conscious events. You see what I'm saying? When nothing actually happened at all. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it does. And but also, I was thinking, here's my work mind. I'm like, well, okay, now they're making that announcement that they're here to take the star seeds. Well, maybe it's like the people of a higher, I don't say like higher consciousness, like I'm not saying anybody's like better than anybody or have, I'm just saying like people with just a high star seed type people. Okay. If y'all know what that is, I don't know. But maybe what if it's an excuse to like pluck all those people off the planet or something, and like put them out of here, round them up,
like a rapture type
like
of thing.
Rapture, yeah. Of the star seeds.
You know what else it sounds like for people that are into science fiction? When the Empire came to eradicate the Jedis, basically.
Oh
The
God.
rebels, the quote unquote rebels.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
the
That should have
Jedi's.
never gone
The Jedi,
public.
the Jedi kept the order, and they wiped
Yeah.
them out first, and they wiped out the rebels. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of
That's
what it sounds like, and
it
that goes
does.
into the whole certiphiles thing,
Oh
and
God.
McElroy files. All that addresses that almost that empire type of faction, and I can't I can't dismiss that based on the fact that we do have a place here that I used to think is a prison planet, but the work I've done has shown it's not. It's a school of, excuse my language, hard ass knocks. Okay, hard ass knocks. But
Yeah.
anyway, but it's not the prison planet that I always thought it was. Okay, where it's a prison planet full of lost souls that are lost in a reincarnation cycle. I thought that for a very long time. All right, when I would hear stuff like the Certiphiles and things like the McElroy files and stuff like that, it just only kind of reinforced that, But then when you start really doing the work and the conscious part of it, it's not true. Some of that to a degree, you know what I mean? But it seems like this is a place where you have Jedi type people, angelic type people that were wiped clean and then sent here, okay, to kind of maintain the vibration, maintain the equilibrium. And then you have the criminogenic factor of the galaxy that was wiped clean and sent to the prison planet also. And you've got both of these populations like a prison yard on it. I mean, yeah, well, I mean, for all situations, you know what I'm saying? The two groups, but it's just interesting. Everything I saw here, it's like nothing, because we're in such dark energy here as far as the people that run this planet, most of them. It's so dark and so cabal-like, and so many damn, contrived schemes and things. It's hard to tell. And on top of that, with the work that you've done with me and by yourself, the truth. We start dealing with these underground laboratories. They're not something just going on now with our current technology. Those things have been there for about 1 million freaking years. That's not exaggeration, is it? It's been about way before biblical times. They've had those things down there producing what we're going to be talking about today, these chimeras and these other beings, and which some of them I think could be coming, dealing with consciousness, but others are just straight physical flesh and blood things, and it's been going on for a very long time. So how many of those hybrids have reproduced out in a normal third dimension world with us out here? And we're just seeing the ramifications of that now because consciousness is going up.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be a perfect time for them to come scoop everybody up and get rid of them, or put them in an anomalous species containment area, right? Remember that remote viewing target you gave me, and I was making direct contact with a lion-headed person. Remember that?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
The very first interview I ever did in 2014 was like August of 2014. And so the gentleman, Bill Spicer, that wrote a book with that lady, Margie Kay, the remote viewer, called Fast Movers. Okay. But what Bill had always told me when we first started communicating, he had a vision, like a dream vision, a really, really vivid one. Him and his wife were going to the big Dillons we have here, like a Walmart adversary is Dillons. He's walking to one of these big Dillons in the parking lot with his wife, and suddenly he sees this huge craft, and they start being taken aboard it, and then there's still people out there watching, and there are other people on the craft, and it's like some sort of a rapture type of deal.
Oh,
okay. Wow. And we did that first interview. I remember he told us, he said, Barry, just start laughing at me when I say this. And no, it was not that I was doing it. It's just, I don't want to think I was laughing at it, but I mean, it was just, it's very, very biblical in that way. And it's very contrived, I believe, also for everyone that experiences that. You know what I mean? Right now, this is the here and now. And for those of us that are having contact, it's time for really, to realize what help is happening, Jessica. There is help happening around us, and it's just different than we think. But it's getting real serious down here, and like figuring out what you're dealing with the radiation spikes. that come with some of this portal manipulation.
Yep.
That needs to be looked into also. You know, not just
Yes.
using and how sound and how actually these portals can be manipulated through the radiation and also through sound. And how perhaps that's what Sasquatch is doing, you know, sound and these different things, even to the point of where if we look at some of those, that one place, the movements themselves, like the isosthesis and movements themselves, certain movements and postures can actually create interdimensional portals as well by using our own makos within our own bodies.
Oh, yeah.
It gets real heavy. You know what I mean? We start dealing with what we might be capable of as people. And I'm telling you, you know, it's interesting. And a client recently asked me, said, do you think, Barry, that we are like only experiencing a small range of emotions? Because when you start dealing with negative identities and getting rid of them, they're part of the negative self. And Jessica, they're feelings. And we're beings of feelings, really. And they're invisible. Yeah, total emotions. That's it. But they're invisible. You can see the reaction. Physically, you can see the reaction, but the emotions themselves are invisible. Just like the voices that some clients I used to have would hear, they're invisible also. You know what I mean? The ones that are on our own voice, and even those are invisible. So these are things that we have to really start understanding as us being energy beings too, and how we can get infinitesimally strong and capable of infinitesimal things as energy beings that are passing through the creator. It's real heavy, but I mean, it's a lot of people don't want to deal with that. Instead, they want reptilians and clones, and that's what sells right now, you know?
Well, it's interesting. It's all interesting. Okay, it is. And I no matter what this 3-eye atlas thing is, okay, here's the bottom line. And I don't even know if it matters. Okay, like you said, it's probably going to come to pass. It's just going to pass. Nothing will happen.
There'll be a bunch of conspiracy when it's gone. It did this.
Maybe so, but there's always that little chance, that like 2 to 10% chance. 10's a lot, okay, but like a 2%, 5% chance that something does happen, and that is used for some sort of a, you know, agenda of some sort.
Take over.
And so we need to prepare no matter what. Okay. And I had the most amazing conversations this weekend with a man named Dr. Richard Allen Miller. He's an U.S. Navy intelligence insider. Okay. And we were talking, he's one of my favorite people. I think we're BFFs. Okay. But, we were talking about how, you know, within the next, you know, month or so, he's predicting, okay, he's very much into he trained Navy SEALs in like, psychic abilities and stuff like that, right up my alley. Okay. But he was saying he's predicting a grid down scenario, no matter what, within 2 weeks to like the next month. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to happen. And yes, hopefully we can change this timeline. Okay. Change the timeline. But that's what he's predicting right now. So no matter what, not to scare everybody, but let's just go get your supplies, have food. Okay, put away, get some toilet paper, okay, water, stuff like that. Just be prepared, y'all, just in case for whatever. And a grid down would mean like computers going down. It could be a complete power grid going down, or it could just be the internet. Okay.
Well, could I jump in with something? I mean, what does that sound like to you? Do you see it?
Sounds like fear. Sounds like a lot of fear.
It sounds just like this that came out in about 1996. The kill shot video.
Oh, that's right. That's remote viewing.
Yeah, Ed Dames talked about the kill. He talked about the what is it, like the bow shot? It was going to be these solar flares that was emitted from the sun that would knock out so many power like grids. It'd be a bad hit, but it wouldn't be too bad. And then there would be things that went along with the bow shot, which would be what we now that I had you remote view, which is UG99, the wheat virus. He said that would emerge. There would be a shuttle that would crash, which you did have one of those, what's that system now that did have something that crashed, okay? And then after that, the kill shot would happen. And when the kill shot happened, it would be solar flares so powerful, Earth-directed, that would knock out all of our satellites and power grids for years.
Wow.
And that at that point, immediately, just within the second or third day when everybody's gas tank is empty and things.
Pure anarchy.
It's going to be total anarchy here.
Yeah.
And
it's going to be very dangerous.
He was predicting it to happen like any time around that time. way back then on Art Bell. Anybody can
Yep.
go back and look that up. This used to be ordering. I'm sure you can download it somewhere now. And
Mhm.
you know, and
Oh,
I've
man, I
always
can't believe
thought
we
we
had that.
talked about this before, so I don't be too repetitive, but I guess it must
Yeah.
be that way. Is that I think it's also was an attempt to jump us to another timeline. That timeline.
Yeah,
Just that
exactly. So
information
let's
coming
not.
out, attention wise, perception
Right.
wise, and we can change that at this point now. It's already been changed, or it's been intervened on in the case of you got to say the word the Galactic Federation. Your data said anyway, but they're the ones that are intervening as far as who was messing with the nuclear weapons. You remote viewed that. Okay,
Mhm.
what saucers were doing that? Who was behind that? Who was
The
talking to the
Galactic
children?
Federation.
Not just the Zimbabwe children, but the others. Who was caring enough to do that? Because the future,
Yes.
the kids are the future. You know what I mean? And that's what you came out of that data. I just had
Yep.
to accept it. Corny name, whatever, but you know, it is what it is. I see people, they're the ones that are doing all the damage, but no one really truly knows. You've got so many factions of space organizations that it's unreal.
Yeah.
From the beings I
They're
deal
all
with, the
here.
organization I deal with, the one you're talking about, and those that are in collusion, and those that
Yes.
are not. Those that are into slavery and they're still trying to hold on to that, and the empire type of thing. You know what I mean? It's
Yes.
really something. Anyway, sorry.
It is.
Get too excited to start talking about that stuff.
I know. Well, I mean, I love. We need to talk about it because I mean, it's the hot topic. It's everybody's kind of putting their attention on right now, and so it's we need to address it. You know, if not just briefly or whatever. I mean, just address it. I think we've done that. And so just keep an eye on it, but don't dote on it, y'all, and don't worry. Don't live in fear over it.
One last thing.
Okay.
I still, on a serious note, find it very interesting. What will that object be doing when it's closest to Mars and invisible to us? That's what we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I wish they would send some satellites or something to look at that period of time specifically, when it could still be gone after that. We saw nothing happen. See what I mean? But what really is going to happen when it's at that perigee where it's invisible to us? And that based on especially the information that you all are getting about what it might be connected to, you know? So that's very interesting, and time will tell, but nothing, you know, I mean, it for sure.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's a good time for all the starseeds to go incognito. Okay. Just kidding.
Get some lightsabers.
Get your lightsabers, Jedis. Okay.
I'll take a sonic screwdriver.
It's time to fight. Yes. Oh my God. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, look, Nathan, yes, Viener. Thank you. I had to say Vieners. He's so funny. Thank you, Nathan, for the super sticker. And yes, I say Vienas, but Viener sounds good too. So thank you. It never gets old. I see that. Nathan, you're hilarious. I appreciate you. Also, the girl in her gong, Maureen, thank you so much. She has been a member of the Hunt Club for 20 months, y'all. That's almost 2 years, Maureen. Thank you so much for all your support with you and Gus, my favorite furry moderator as well. Thank y'all so much. And also Skip, thank you so much. The team. Good job, guys. Thank you so much, Skip. You're awesome. I appreciate you. Yeah, thanks for the support, y'all. Yeah. Well, you know, and actually at the conference, I did go over the orbs briefly. I went over the orbs over the crop circles, that target you gave me as well. And I did relay the message to the audience, and I did get a big old clapping. They did clap,
really?
and everybody cheered for that. Yeah. About the teamwork and the message that was conveyed during that remote viewing target. So I think everybody was relieved and happy to hear that.
Well, you know, it demonstrates, you know, the high aspect of hope.
It does. We need the hope. Yeah, we need the hope. Yeah. I also had one of the guys that was volunteering there and working. He was like, I love your voice when you talk, because it's like you're talking about this crazy violent stuff, but your voice is so sweet. He was like, the way you convey it is like so nice. He was like, and it's just horrific stuff, but you make it sound so good. That's what he told me. I was like, well, thanks. I appreciate that. So yeah, it was a fun experience, y'all, at that conference. So
I'm glad it went well for James too. I know he put a lot of work into it, so glad it went good.
He did. Well, let's switch topics, okay? Because we've covered 3-Eye Atlas. Let's get into. I want to talk about some of the Appalachian chimeras and hybrids today, Barry. And one of them is particularly strange. And after we talk about this, I'd like to talk about headless monsters as well. We're going to get into that after we talk about these. But one of the more interesting cryptids out of the Appalachian Mountains is called a Snallygaster. Okay. And I briefly touched on this a while back on one of my shows, but we didn't get too deep into it. And I thought maybe we could talk about that today. You know, we talked about that last night briefly. And are you familiar with the Snallygaster?
Just a little. You know, you're from that area, so I'm going to have to follow your lead on a lot of this. What I found fascinating, you know, when looking into that a little, so the Snallygaster, it's been described as one. It's been around for a very long time, and at one point there was like not just a hunt for it, but like a reward for the capture of it. But it was also supposed to be connected to like a death or something as well, if I'm not mistaken. And there's that lady. Oh gosh, is it not Alice Cooper? It's something Cooper is her name, and she runs the Snallygaster museum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there is a Snallygaster museum actually. Here, I've got a picture of this. I think this is in the front of the Snallygaster museum, as a matter of fact. And yeah, this thing right here that's not exactly how it's described in most descriptions of what the Snallygaster is. I mean, from what I could find, it does look like a dragon right there, but a lot of accounts of it that has wings and has a bird's head with a beak and octopus tendrils coming out of its mouth. Which is
Sarah
really
Cooper's that woman's name. Sarah Cooper. Okay. She runs that museum. Hey, do you have any other pictures of the Snallygaster?
I sure do. I actually can pull it up on the screen right there. It kind of looks like a griffin or something, doesn't it?
It looks like a griffin, yeah.
Yeah, it does. It looks kind of like a griffin. That looks just like a dragon. This was my particular version in AI right here. Okay, that looks kind of weird. But this, okay, so the legend of this came
that's
to
the
the
ones
United
I've seen look like that.
Yeah, well, the legend started around the 1700s with German immigrants. Okay, and they're originally called the Schnellergeist, or a quick spirit. And then the people started mispronouncing it, they say, and it became known as the Snallygaster. And it was reported in newspapers around. Now that's another one that I did with the AI. That looked weird, but it originally got popular in the newspapers around 1909 and 1932. And there's even rumors that Teddy Roosevelt went up to Maryland to go hunt this thing. Okay, now we all know Teddy Roosevelt. I believe he's the one that started all these national parks, right? Where we have all of our Bigfoots and Dogman sightings out there today. But it became more mainstream when they started writing about it in the newspapers and stuff. And from what I was reading about them, they actually became popular after the Jersey Devil sighting started in New Jersey. And around that time, right after that was when they started talking about the Snallygaster up there as well. But there's a lot of other things that this is connected to as well. But this is what people consider to be a chimera of some sort, because it has a mix of all these different elements to it. And like I said, it's like a dragon, a reptile, okay, and it, a part bird and an octopus, like octopus tendrils.
I found the octopus thing. That's what I was going to ask. Is like, is most of them you saw also, they're supposed to have octopus tentacles, or were they snakes? They're octopus, right?
They may be snakes, but people were saying octopus-like. So let's see. I'm going to show some pictures. This is just doing a search online, and these are some of the renditions here of what a Snallygaster is described like. You'll see it actually has an eye in the middle of its head. Let's look at this one right here. This is a good one. Let's see if I can get it to come up. Okay. Okay, let's check this one out. That's terrifying. Okay, that doesn't look like a dragon at all to me. It doesn't look like a dragon whatsoever. So after less than a month after the Jersey Devil sightings began, the Valley Register ran a story about a man named Bill Gifferson who had been walking home when a winged creature attacked him, carried him up a hill, slashed his jugular with its beak, drained his blood, and finally dumped his lifeless body in a ravine. Other stories and sightings followed, including one report of a man who happened upon the Snallygaster as it was draining a 100-gallon tub of water, after which it exclaimed, now they said the Snallygaster exclaimed, "My, I'm dry. I haven't had a good drink since I was killed in the Battle of Chickamauga," as though the fearsome dragon-esque creature was somehow the ghost of a dead Civil War soldier. And this went on until July, when a final dispatch from the Valley Register described a scientific expedition to discover the nocturnal monster's lair, whereupon it erupted from the ground and flew off into Virginia, they say. Which is odd, because Barry, listen, I talk about Chickamauga all the time, right? That's where Old Green Eyes was. Mm-hmm. Your favorite cryptid. Just kidding. And I know you were, that was one of the, darker ones, I guess you could talk about, evil kind of eating the dead corpses of all the soldiers. But they say that this Snallygaster claimed, spoke words saying that I was once at Chickamauga when I died on the battlefield. And that's in North Georgia. As a matter of fact, okay, I wanted to, let me stop sharing this. I might be going to Chickamauga this weekend. Okay. I heard there's an Old Green Eyes Festival up there this weekend. So if anybody's going up to the Old Green Eyes Festival, y'all look for me because I might be there. I'm not speaking or anything. I'm just going to go enjoy myself. Maybe.
And when this thing died on the field, was it a soldier in human body?
That's what they're insinuating.
And it reincarnated into this thing?
Yes. Which would be that's just weird.
I mean,
it's weird, right?
I'm sorry, man. I got to say, were you just making that up? And it really say I am dry? Did it really say that?
Yeah, I'm dry. Yeah, I'm parched.
That makes me laugh. I mean, I laugh because, man, there's a real old Twilight Zone. It's called Mr. Denton on Doomsday, and during it's in the West. And these cowboys are dogging this guy out. So they keep calling him, "You rubby!" And they offer him a drink. He's a drunk, and they sing, and "I'm dry, I'm so dry," and they're all laughing at him. That's why when you say that, it just makes me think of that.
I'm dry.
Yeah.
Oh, Barry, hold on. I'm so dry. Hold on.
Yeah. I had to. I remember back in the day having to ask my mother, "Well, what the hell is a rubby?"
Oh no.
Anyway, sorry.
Those old terms.
A rubby. You damn rubby. Anyway, that's that's interesting legend. You know what I mean? But what's so interesting about it is how long it's. But doesn't the history of that creature go back even further than that?
It does. It goes back to the 1700s. Okay. And it actually was, it was described by German immigrants. Okay. They claim that this thing was in Maryland, where they were, I don't guess it was called Maryland back then when they first settled there, but where Maryland is today. Absolutely. They said that it was they said it was a blood-sucking, vampiric type of a creature, and it would target livestock and children. Okay, livestock and children, and then when you fast forward, I mean, in that one story, that account of it got a guy by his jugular vein. I mean, that's pretty rough right there. But it does line up with it being vampiric and just going for the blood, kind of like the chupacabra, by the way, which sucks the blood. It didn't have a proboscis or whatever that word is. But we actually have an Appalachian chupacabra too, by the way. Okay, so there's not just the chupacabra out of Puerto Rico. Shout out to my friend Roger from Robert I met this week in Puerto Rico.
What was the method of extraction of the blood that this?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know, because it was it had talons and a beak that would cut people. So I don't think it was sucking it with a proboscis. I don't know, but imagine if it was
eating people more than the blood thing.
It was more.
as a
Well, it said it
predator
was
fashion.
eating their blood. So
Fashion.
I don't know. Maybe all those little tentacles were proboscis tentacles. I love saying that word.
What?
I don't know. I'm just saying. It's already a strange animal, so
Like the salt vampire from Star Trek, right? When he got up on
exactly.
Kirk. You know. I got you.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
interesting. How far back it goes, I find interesting, though. Seriously, is how far back
It
that
does.
legend goes. And when dealing with these chimeras, now knowing how long a lot of these underground labs have been around, or whatever you want to call them, it doesn't, it's not, I guess, that out of the question at all,
It's not. It's not. Let me say thank you to Mad Pax real quick. Mad Pax, thank you so much for that super sticker. He said, did anyone else notice that after Jessica and Midwest Night Watchers did the Mall Dream stream, how many others started talking about it? Oh, well, you know what? I thank Gerald for all that. Gerald's the one that sent me a message about the Mall Dreams, and so we did that. So shout out to Gerald and Jane of Midwest Night Watchers, and thank you, Mad Pax. You're sweet. I appreciate that.
When dealing, that was a good show. And
it was.
when
Thank you.
dealing with the aspect truly of neuro weapon and brain to brain interface and brain to computer interface and the hive mind concept combined with dream targeted incubation, the engineering of dreams, truly, that right there is a perfect example of that. A hive mind concept that they're using a mall scenario and dream incubation. That was an interesting show because that's not that. I mean, because I had mentioned before, I'd had a client that was involved in a mall type of scenario, slightly different than what I heard some SSP people say, but something similar, where they're sitting in there with people that are dressed in civilian like you and they were, and then also people that were like soldiers, but then others that were declarated officers in there, like high level. So all sitting in the class together, being taught gravity physics by a non-corporeal light beam. Okay, and we start talking about, once upon a time in the past, how the ancient aliens say that there were teachers here on Earth that weren't, human and stuff and all that. It's still going on. But it's in situations like that, with the additive of this AI tech and this dream technology and this neuro weaponry, neuro weaponry and neural technology. It's real interesting. So everything that happened in the past is repeating. It's still going on. And it needs to be exposed much more than it is currently.
It does.
Yeah,
it does. Yeah. I mean, and I think that this is great because everybody's talking about it. I had more response from that show. So many people saying they had those same dreams. And so I appreciate everybody who interacted on the comments under that video and stuff. Thank y'all so much for that. Yeah. It's wild. It's wild. It's like it all comes together full circle with stuff like that, with the things we've been talking about and the secret space programs and abandoned malls. We've talked about abandoned malls many times. Okay. And when it comes to even the reptilians being down there, and like you said, like people remembering being at schools, taking classes in abandoned malls and all that. It's wild. It's really wild.
And then let's not forget the great movie, Chopping Ball.
Chopping Ball. That's right.
You should go pull that one out and go for the cult classics. Old Chopping Ball. Yeah.
The Chopping Ball.
Where the AI goes crazy and basically murders all the people in the murder in the mall.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah.
But another example of AI coming back in the 80s. They're always trying to show us. And where we're at right now is where the 80s wanted to be. You know what I'm saying? They try to do all the things that were showing the technological revolution that we're going through right now, but they just weren't there yet. Yeah. But the members only jackets were cool. I still say that. Anyway.
Oh yeah, love me some members only. That's right. Oh my gosh. Yes. Well, okay. Well, let's get back to the Maryland's famous unknown cryptid. Really, not a lot of people know about this thing, but back in the 1700s case, we went back to the 1700s. You didn't hear a whole lot about it until the early 1900s again, but there was a time period, Barry, which this is really interesting, that okay, so this is a bird reptile chimera, is what people are calling it, and there was a time around 1909 when it got popular again in the papers, And they say that it was specifically put in the papers to target like African American people, actually. Okay, and I know this. I don't know. Is this cool? So let's talk about it, I guess, because they said.
Oh, I'm mad now.
Yeah, don't be mad. Don't be mad.
I'm just kidding.
No,
Keep going. No, I'm just messing with you.
Okay, well, they said that they would put articles in the paper, and they were saying it was to try to scare, like, the people who had. It said, here's what the title said. This is the title. Okay, I'm quoting this. It said, this was in the Valley Register, the same paper that was putting the articles about the Snallygaster in it. It said, the colored people are in great danger. This vampire devil, this is what was in the article. This vampire devil only attacks colored people, is what it said in the paper. It said, it is seldom seen during the day, feeding at night only, and the strange part is that it seems to prefer colored men to colored women, though it attacks at the latter at times. Now that's weird, right? They would put that in the paper like that, and they actually say that it was used to try to scare people, okay, from formerly like freed slaves, is what they were saying, from the research that I was doing on this, and it's really pathetic and sad, honestly, when it comes to that. But here's another little tidbit. Okay, so I have forever seen these star symbols on the side of houses in the Appalachian Mountains. Okay, and if some of you guys will know what I'm talking about here,
yeah, sure, yeah.
I do. I have a picture. Here's one picture of some. It's a 7. If you have to kind of zoom in, but 7 pointed stars. A lot of times, they say that these stars would protect a home against the Snallygaster. Okay, well, I didn't know that. Okay, I've always forever seen these stars. Let me take this down. I'm going to share my screen because I want to show some other pictures of these, and this does connect all this together. Okay, and you'll see there's method in my madness here. Let's see, Appalachian sunburst quilt. Okay, here we go. So these designs have forever been on the side of these houses that I've seen in the Appalachian Mountains, and I didn't know what they mean. They look like quilts. Okay, it's like a quilt design. And they would say that a 7-pointed star would mean that this house was protected from the Snallygaster. Well, guess what else it means? I was reading that if a house had one of these on there, that was actually part of the Underground Railroad. Okay, they would say that it was for the Snallygaster, but it was actually part of the Underground Railroad to be and they would point in different directions to show the runaways, I guess is what they call it. I don't know, where the people that were fleeing, which direction to go in. Okay, like they would be pointed a certain direction, and that was the direction that they needed to move in. Now, I thought that was actually kind of cool. Okay,
that's really good. That's really good, interesting information. That's good research on your part. Very good.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to figure out how are we tying this all together here? You know what I mean? Because it's really odd that they, and I let you know how we connect dots, Barry. We connect dots, and I've always seen those houses with those stars on them, and I just thought it was a quilt pattern. I thought maybe it was like, European, and those are like people that had like the blood of like Swedish people or like German or some kind of European bloodline or something. I didn't know what it meant. Finnish, somebody from Denmark, Sweden, I don't know. But it turns out there's more meaning behind this than that. And let me share the screen one more time, and I'm going to show you this as well, because I think this is important, and I can appreciate it. Okay, so this is, let me take that down. Quilted barn exterior. This is off of Pinterest. This is just like something that I found. It said, on the hilltops of Appalachia can be seen barns with large quilt designs. Some of these designs originated in the mid 1800s and were directed towards those who were fleeing to the north from possible slavery in the South. The designs provided a message or a direction and were part of the famous American Underground Railroad. The designs are huge, approximately 8 feet square with bright colors. This barn can be seen on a hilltop along the northern fringe of the Appalachia in Monroe County. Okay, and you're going to see a lot of these designs. Now, I don't know if they were placed on a particular side of the barn or what, but it was supposed to be some kind of directional, almost like a compass for people to know where to go. Okay, where to get out of there. And but they were also told, or that's what some of my research is showing, that it's actually also people were told that that's what kept the Snallygasters away. Okay, so it was used in two different ways. It was like the Snallygasters were being used to scare people, but they were also being used as a directional thing for people who were escaping into the Underground Railroad system, okay, to get out of the South and to flee to the North. All right, so interesting stuff, Barry. I wasn't expecting to find all this information before we did the show today, so I think it's kind of cool.
Well, that's interesting because I've seen symbols similar to that on barns a lot. In fact, there's a fence not far from where I am now that has a bunch of those along it, and they're all, I thought, from barns or something. A couple of them that seem rather familiar. And, just I think that them using the starburst in a meeting like that is fascinating because, I've shown before a type of a craft I've seen that actually turned into what's called a tripyramidal Merkaba. And, I found one day I was in the store and I found this, or even a better representation, if you can see it, this.
Here, let me make your screen bigger so everybody can see it.
It looks, very much like a connection. If you put three of these, it looked like what I saw with emitting bioluminescence from the inside. Okay, and that's actually called a starburst. That thing there is. And so immediately I grabbed a couple of them so I could get an illustration of on my YouTube channel. It's called the Tripyramidal Merkaba. I try to put them all on the table and I show the illustrations also and show what I saw. But anyway, just seeing that such symbols being used to keep evil off doesn't surprise me, but I see many such. It's just interesting.
It is. Well, now it has a whole new meaning when I go up to, because I spend a lot of time up in the North Georgia mountains and in North Carolina and Tennessee and all through the Appalachians. They have those stars on the houses or those quilt designs. And now I'll look at them a little differently now. I think it's kind of cool. Okay. And I think it's great. Midwest Night Watchers. Hey, Gerald, he says, I could see Teddy Roosevelt going snipe hunting with the Concatenated Order of the Hoo-Hoo. He came across the Snallygaster. Man, that's a whole bunch of funny language right there, but it's all real. Okay. Are you familiar with the Concatenated Order of the Hoo-Hoo, Barry?
No, I can't say that's part of my basic knowledge. What is it?
You're going to love this. It is actually, I believe Teddy Roosevelt was the founder of it, or he was definitely a member of it. But it is to this day. They still are, I think they're still in service, I think, but it's a secret society of lumberjacks. It's like the Freemason lumberjacks or something. I don't know, some kind of secret society of lumberjacks, and they make decisions on like national parks and stuff. It's got some kind of connection to national parks, secret society, and the president was part of it, and presidents probably still are a part of it. And their emblem is actually a black cat. Okay, now this is a real thing, and thank you, Gerald, for bringing that up. I appreciate that. But it's a real thing. We've actually discussed it on the show a couple times.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
right? I once had a fairly negative encounter with a very large lumberjack disincarnate person. Yeah, it was hunting a place near a river.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was, very interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Is that like a Mason thing also? They're connected to Mason stuff too?
Probably. I don't know. I'm not sure. But y'all look it up if you hadn't heard of it. The Concatenated Order of the Hoo-Hoo. Well, let me pull it back up because Gerald spelled it out. Okay, right there. The Concatenated Order of the Hoo-Hoo. I mean, with a name like that, who's going to believe that's even real? Okay, and I think that's kind of the purpose.
Well, there's all sorts of different tongues. So,
yeah. Well, the Snallygaster has several tongues. I'm just kidding. Proboscis tongues.
When I would see pictures of that. There was one of the Greek chimeras that it kind of reminded me of a little bit. And I'm trying to think of, God, I used to have a book. It was not Typhon. What was the name of that creature? Sorry, but just the illustrations I saw look somewhat similar. In an old book I used to have called Mysterious Beasts from back in the 80s, but a couple of the representations, those that had, something very interesting. Basically, Basically, abomination is what it kind of looks like to me.
Oh.
But don't you agree, kind of? I mean, that's not a natural creature.
No, not at all. Well, you know what? Okay, as far as the Snallygaster goes, they actually were so scared of this thing back in the 1900s. 1909, they put a curfew out around the towns where it had been spotted. Or, sometimes I wonder if they just say it was spotted because they were trying to scare people, right? So it's just like today. You remember about, what is that, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, we had lockdowns. Nobody, you had to wear something over your face to go in the grocery store, and you had to walk in a single file line 6 feet apart from other people and stuff. All that stuff, it was kind of put in place for a control mechanism on the masses, right? And on this one, they were doing this back then too, okay? Because people were so scared they had to put a curfew in place, and people were panicked. I think that made people more panicked by putting a curfew in place. Okay, that's what I think. But in Western Maryland, they had a curfew, and they shut down the forest in the national parks. They shut down the forest. I don't know what year they made the national parks. I don't know. But all the parks in the forest out there, they were on lockdown and shut down. You couldn't go. You couldn't utilize them. It's just like today when something happens, you can't go. The government shut down. You still go to some of these places, but all the facilities are shut down. The gates are locked. All that kind of stuff. They did that because of the Snallygaster. I mean, I don't know. I'm seeing a pattern here. I'm just saying.
Like it was more than just black people did.
Yeah, it's everybody.
Or is it just the black part of town they shut down? I mean,
well, it could be
that
too.
It brings up a bunch of questions now, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, it does. It's it's wild.
Population control. That's commonly done now. Just like it's a precursor to things like, Ebola that only came out of Africa, things like that. Yeah. AIDS as well.
That's right.
Incidentally, if you look up the government patent, they have patent cures for those things, which I find fascinating. Anyway, that's another topic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that it's important that we talk about it. I think it is important that we do talk about this stuff because, I mean, they've been doing this for a long time, locking people out of, public facilities and public areas over the threat of a Snallygaster or something. I mean, today, like at the national parks and stuff, I mean, the places that have some of the most Bigfoot activity that I know of, where I go do my research, a lot of times those gates will be locked pretty regularly. And it makes me wonder, it could be because there's a fire, or a control burn, or it could be something. I mean, there's no telling what it is, but a lot of times I get suspicious that maybe it's because of the Bigfoots.
I used to. It's interesting when you say that. It just brings here I'll start going off topic. I have to be careful, but it brings up to mind. I had heard a lot of stuff about Silver Dollar City in Missouri, and how there was Sasquatch on that property all the time when it was shut down, commonly almost. And I don't know. I think it's out of business now, is it not? I don't think it still exists anymore.
Wait,
was up in
what business?
It was an amusement park in Missouri called Silver Dollar City in Springfield, Missouri. And Google it. It was supposed to be a lot of Sasquatch activity there. And I heard more than just BFRO talking about that before I heard it. It's just interesting, but it's up there in the Missouri mountains somewhere. I'd been there when I was a kid, but it's been like 50 years ago now. So, but
well, it looks like it's still in let's see. Let me go here. Hold on, I'll pull it up on the screen.
I had heard about them having to put up different gates and things, trying to keep the Sasquatch out. The fencing and things they're trying to do to keep them out. Yeah.
I've got it right here. We're going to show it.
And it's interesting because when when I heard about it, it kind of sounded similar to how you hear about them wandering around on some of the bases in the desert and the quote unquote desert Sasquatches. I think that's another fascinating one. You know what I mean? Where the heck do the desert Sasquatch go when they're not around? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yes. I mean, check out how dense that is, the forest out there. It'd be a perfect place for Bigfoot. I mean, it's in Branson, the Branson theme park.
Yeah, Branson. Yeah, sorry, not
Branson, Missouri. Yeah, you can still get tickets to go there. So that looks like a rickety old. Looks rickety. That's the only word I can think. That's the rickety.
When you get on it, which Jones,
of the ricketies.
Take a pass on the roller coaster in Silver
I'm gonna pass on that one. Good Lord, that looks rickety. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine? Well, that's wild.
At least we know one thing. We know the Sasquatch don't get on it either. Thus, we know that much.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, that's a terrible joke, man. Sorry.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, yeah, that's well. Let me stop sharing.
Kind of looks like the one from Lampoon's Vacation to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But interesting, nonetheless interesting. That's just one of the things going on there. They say. Just when you had mentioned that, it brought that to my mind for some reason. So.
Oh my gosh, yes, but the mountains. Hillbilly here said, "Holy smokes, that's a drop." Yeah, that was a drop. Yeah, that's more rickety than like Six Flags over Georgia with the cyclone and stuff. Like they've got some wooden roller coasters like that too.
Yeah, man. In my home city, we used to have a place called Joyland, and they had a roller coaster there. That thing was wooden, and it looked like it's ready to come down at any time, man. And then worse than that, a guy that was cutting the grass, going up underneath it, he raised his head too much and got unalived, Highlander style.
Oh God!
So that place, that roller coaster had a horrible wreck. My God.
Yeah, I mean, I love roller coasters, but I'm pretty particular about roller coaster. I don't know. I'm not going back to a roller coaster anytime soon. I've seen too many horror stories and stuff about them. So yeah, I don't know. It depends. If it's rickety like that, I'm not riding it.
Everyone I ever could. I loved them.
I love roller coasters.
In Worlds of Fun wasn't too far from where I lived, and they had a bunch of them there. The Zambezi Zinger and a bunch of different roller coasters. One of them called the Omega Express. It was incredible. All the ones with the loops on them. They're really fun. Mm-hmm. And there's the worst one I think I ever rode was Six Flags of Texas. That was a rough one. It wasn't even no loops. It was just up and down. It's called the Judge something. It's
like the Scream Machine in Georgia. Yeah,
I like that one. Yeah.
Listen, I grew up in the time back when our parents used to just drop us off at Six Flags and just let us. We had season passes. Me and my girlfriends, and we would just go and spend the whole day through the evening till they close, and have a wonderful time. And right on the back seat of the Scream Machine without really buckling your seatbelt real tight, so you could stand up when you went down the hills. I mean, how dangerous was that? Okay, and that's what I did as a kid.
You talking about the stand-up roller coaster?
No, it was not stand-up, but I was standing up.
You remember those?
On the very back seat. Yes.
We had those some people flew off that. They never did those anymore. Those things. That was the Worlds of Fun, actually.
God,
that was the first place to do that. They had the stand-up roller coaster.
Yes, don't do as I say, anyone.
I swear it did not. Yeah.
Man. Well, speaking of mining towns, okay, so Chicky Blue said this Missouri place, it sounds like a mining town, the Silver Dollar. Sounds like a mining town. Well, I used to ride the mine train at Six Flags too, by the way.
Well, that's really a good point.
But that's a good point.
They're probably right. Sorry. They would explain because around mines, we know how much Sasquatch activity there are.
Yes. Gold.
I'm beginning to wonder too, Jessica, if they don't somehow have a way of using the radiation and the minerals there for manifestation as well, and how much that connects to the client that I had that started talking about the Sasquatch using the caves to train the youth for teleportation technology and how to manifest. Yeah, I found, just food for thought again, you know what I mean? But when dealing with inner minds and things like that, with that kind of metal and that surrounding, who knows what they can do with that besides just live and hide out. You know what I mean? Think about what Sylvester Stallone did in First Blood with that mind. Sorry, I'm just kidding. You wouldn't know what that. Ben would probably know what that means. So.
Oh yeah, he probably would.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Great movie. Great movie.
Well, Well, that's really interesting. There's so many caves in Appalachia too. I know we're talking about Missouri, but there's a lot of caves. And when I was trying to find I was trying to look up like how many different chimeras, like what people consider to be chimeras, are there in the Appalachians, like as far as cryptids go. And the Snallygaster is number one on my list. But there's also one other. I mean, there's a lot of things that could be chimeras. I mean, shoot, a Dogman could be a chimera, right? Even a Bigfoot could be a chimera of some sort. But there's something else that I found. It was called something I never heard of, Barry. This is brand new to me. But it is a gob sow. A gob sow. Have you ever heard of this? It's like a hog, a giant hog that hides in the caves and it attacks miners. Okay. This is something people say this is real. Okay. This is not.
It seems to ring a bell. Do you have a picture?
Well, I kind of do. There's not a whole lot of information.
Is it supposed to look like a razorback kind of?
Kind of. Well, it has long hair. Okay. It has long black hair and it hides. I just did a Google search on this before the show. So we'll just pull up the Google. And all I have is like a Google AI, and there's not any good pictures of this thing. Nobody has a picture of it, but they say that it's a commonly referred as a creature from Appalachian folklore, a mythical giant, ferociously wild hog associated with coal mines. And the gob is a British slang word for the mouth or a globule of spit. Okay. And it says it's a giant wild hog with exaggerated features such as large tusks and long hair. It's fearful. It's known to attack miners in the coal mines. And it says it's a creature from Appalachian folklore, but it comes from retired coal miners. Okay. And the gob is either, like I said, it's either a globule of spit or saliva, or it could just be a British slang word for your mouth. Okay. And that's it. Let's see if we can find a picture of it. When you look for pictures, you can't find too many. There's some drawings, maybe, like, I don't know. There's really not too much to it. So yeah, we'll just take that down because there's really not a whole lot of information on it, but they say it's some sort of a pig, some kind of chimera. They call it a chimera. Maybe it's a pig man. I think that's kind of like what I was taking from that was like a pig man, basically. I'm going to say like a humanoid pig. Yeah, but
okay,
I don't know. Maybe
there's a humanoid factor involved, so it wouldn't be like a razorback. Something Hogzilla. Different. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, we do have hogzillas in the South.
I can't be. Sure. When I was in Australia, I remember it happened to me like twice. So actually when I was in the hospital, the cat sitting over there, and he had a real strong accent, and he was saying how he's out and outback out there or something, and I was asking him like, well, do you guys have like a razorback problem in terms of like razorback killing people? Like my mother had told me that I had a great uncle that fell in the pig pen and got ate by the hogs when she was a kid. So I've heard that before too, how vicious that can be. So, but then there was a movie called Razorback when I was a kid, and it was out of Australia. It's the big razorback with the things. It's a huge boar. Okay, it was killing people. And so I asked him about razorbacks. You had a problem with that. And finally looked at me, Barry, you mean wild pigs? And I started laughing. I said, God, I guess. I thought y'all called them razorbacks. Apparently they just call them wild pigs.
They're just wild hogs.
Sometimes, yeah. But anyway, I think that's an interesting story. You know what I mean? I don't know what the legitimacy of it is, but it's interesting nonetheless, Mm-hmm. Where would such a creature stay and come from in the caves? This is fascinating. How many of them would there be to keep a breeding population of them?
Yeah, that's a good point, Gerald. Gerald says goblin crossed with a pig. Could be. I don't know. It sounded more like a pig man. I mean, but a pig man could look like a goblin as well. I don't know.
Question.
A goblin pig.
You've heard even you've heard even more, like way more cryptid stories than me and things. And so how many times have you heard stories about Sasquatch having pets, such like wolves and things of that nature? Have you heard that before? Or even big cats, like mountain lions and things being around Sasquatch like their pets?
Well, we've actually discussed it as far as my research team goes. We've discussed it because when we went up to that cave up in Tennessee to go do that investigation at Farrah's house with the skinwalkers, out there. Her chickens were going missing, and my theory personally was, well, maybe since there's no blood and guts, no body parts to these chickens, there were only feathers leading into that cave entrance where there were no footprints, by the way, no footprints at all in that thick mud. My theory was, well, they were taking the chickens to keep them, put them in their own pen, okay, and either eat them or keep them as pets. Probably eat them. But that was my theory with that. So I don't know. I mean, as far as like being a pet, I don't know.
You're saying the Dogmen were doing this?
No, the Bigfoot, the Bigfoot.
Oh, okay.
It could have been a Dogman. I don't know. Something. It was either a Dogman or we think it was a Bigfoot because of the footprint that we found.
You think they were imitating, making their own pen. That's fascinating. Yeah. I've not heard stories quite like that. Most times, it seems like those things get grubbed up on pretty quick. But you're right. A lot of times they do just disappear. You know what I mean? That is true. That's fascinating. Yeah, it's hard to see where all this begins and ends. It's kind of cool in that way, But if Tarzan could do it, he was the master of all beasts. And he would be melted and dominant. So why wouldn't Sasquatch? Sorry, there's another bad joke on my part. But seriously, is it? Anyway. Yes,
oh my gosh. Yeah. So I haven't heard a whole lot of stories about Bigfoots having pets, but they might. I mean, usually if it has a smaller animal in its arms, it's dead. It's their dinner. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like that Beast of Seven Shoots.
I'd heard some interesting stories like of people reporting seeing Sasquatch fighting wolves the way humans fight dogs. Just saying. I don't know. It's just interesting. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, we know normal dogs they don't like, but I think that's more because they give them away. Don't you think?
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Well, and but people that I know who have Bigfoots on their property, usually it just depends, because some people that have them on their property, their dogs will go missing and they'll find their dog dead up in a tree or in the woods sometimes. And that's rare. The more common reports that I'm getting are the dogs know the Bigfoots basically. And they're, I'm not going to say comfortable with them, but they're not, the dogs, they're familiar with them. Not comfortable, but familiar.
I advise everybody to go to MK Davis's channel, Green Wave, and type in Sasquatch or Bigfoot and dogs. He's got 3 or 4 videos up. One of them, you'll see those dogs take off when the Sasquatch in the area, and you'll see one that doesn't. And you start saying, I think that one has a communication with this thing. It's very, very interesting that, can you go back to that last comment?
Okay. I don't remember which one it was.
Killer comment. The last one just before that from Mad Max.
From Mad Max. I don't remember which one I just had up.
I think that's
from Mad Pax right here. Mad Pax.
That right there. I was talking about that recently. Was that your show? One of these shows, I think it was this.
We've talked about it.
It was, when dealing with the subject of negative inorganic beings, aka demons or whatever, and that story there, which I do believe is a biblical story. Okay, I'm not a religious cat and none of that, but when saying that Yeshua had banished these demons, and when he was exorcising and banishing them, they said, "Oh, please don't send us back to hell." And he showed mercy and banished them into the cast them into the pigs. That's the story that I remember quite well. Okay, at least that part of it. So it made me contemplate, first of all, what is it about those levels, those darker levels, these places where these portals begin and then these beings emerge? What is it like? It must be very painful, horrible for them to beg to not go back there. See what I mean? Yeah. Why do some of these negative inorganic beings that are in a person's body tell the earthbound spirits that are also inhabiting the body, don't you, like something like, for me example, don't work with him or we'll send you to the pit? Well, what does that mean? Where's the pit? They'll tell me that we don't know, but they say it's darker than here and it's worse and it hurts. And that again is playing with our very concept of hell. Okay.
Exactly.
I mean, it gets real heavy When we start
They're under
dealing with that,
control in the afterworld.
once you're out of the body and you're more personality components and aggressions than you are a brain functioning anymore, but you're still your energy fields are trying to interpret things like through the brain and imagery would. It's a whole nother ball game going on. So it's stuff we need to be aware of and deal with and be prepared for now. I'm telling you, because I've done the work. So it means something. You know, we have to really be careful with stuff like that. You mess around and listen to these fools. Don't go into light. It's a reincarnation cycle. Get trapped here. Get trapped in somebody's body with these other beings that are tormenting you. Yeah, no, you don't want to get trapped. You know what I mean? But listen to these people who had no experience. They've not died. They're not mediums. They don't know anything, but they're telling you what somebody else heard or what they think is right. That doesn't. That's bad advice. I've said it before. That's why I did all that, giving you a blind target of light. That's just a way of a medium. It's not everything. You know what I mean? Our conscious is everything. Anyway, sorry, but I just like to give these examples sometimes because that was a killer comment, great comment.
It was. Thank you, Mad Pax.
Yeah, Mad. That was great. Yeah,
yeah.
And it's important. You know what I mean? Sometimes if we cannot throw the baby out with the bathwater, which I often have problems with, but sometimes in some of those ancient stories there are references that can help us live a little bit or be aware of things. You know?
Yes, for sure. Well, I also want to move on before we go today to talk about the headless monsters. Okay. And they're not all monsters, by the way, y'all. Headless beings. Let's just say beings. Headless people, headless beings. Barry, you had forwarded me over a really cool video yesterday or day before yesterday. And it was about the blimmies. Okay. And that's one of my favorite topics. Before we go on, Cinephoenix wanted to know if you, Barry, have seen a TV sci-fi series called Superstition, directed by Mario Van Peebles.
I think I might have came across it, but I can't tell you I watched it. But there was one that Van Peebles did, but I can't tell you I've seen it. Let me write it down, though.
Okay. Well, Barry will be checking that out. Phoenix. Okay. That's awesome. Okay. So that Blimmy video that you sent is actually really interesting because I wanted to talk about this today. I think it's important. We're also going to talk about the Headless Horseman before we go as well. Okay. Cool. But this headless monster thing with the blimmies. Okay. So these blimmies go back a long time. I think that video that you sent me, the guy was showing what these explorers, I'm not saying it's all of them, but some of the explorers might have been seeing a primate actually. Okay. When it came to these blimmies, and we're going to get to that. But maybe we should talk about blimmies first. I don't think you and I have actually talked about blimmies very much. I've had other people on the shows like Jane and Gerald came on, I believe. Maybe Brown Dwarf. I don't remember if me and Brown or Bigfoot Dwarf talked about that. I think it was Jane and Gerald. But we've talked about the blimmies. And for those of you who are not familiar with the blimmies, let's show a couple of pictures, Barry.
You know, I got to be honest, you know, I'd seen illustrations before, but it never dawned on me what they were. And I didn't know that name or anything. So I learned that from you and your thought it was Daryl and Jane, Midwest Night Watchers, that you all were doing the show on it. Maybe, I can't remember now, but I mean, it's the first time I had really heard it and seen so much about it. Outside of course, Ichabod Crane. Everybody knows that one, but
Oh yeah. These are just some of the illustrations that are out there on the internet you can find. But they also have drawings of these things. They look like they have hair on them.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
So that video.
Yep. Here's another one too. Some of them they have hair and some of them they don't, Barry.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. The video she's referencing was done by Praveen Mohan, I think as you pronounce it. And he's the Hindu Indian who goes around all the temples and stuff. He's starting to speak at conferences too. Really informative gentleman. I mean, he is hip. And he's like you, he's doing the groundwork. He's going to all those ancient temples and he's trying to get to them because, you know, they're all getting vandalized and destroyed. So he's trying to get as much information as he can. But he's the one that did that video. And when he got towards the end of it, it was fascinating because he started showing depictions of orangutans, and especially some of the bigger ones, and how they don't appear to have a neck at all, even worse than Sasquatch, and their head and face is so far down, it almost looks like they're in their chest. And how he thought that they were seeing orangutans a lot of times and saying that they were blimmies, confusing them for blimmies, or there was something going on there. Interesting perspective. You know what I mean?
It is.
What'd you think about that?
Well, let's see. Headless. Hold on, I'm just trying to find. Oh, did I not put pictures of? I had all these pictures of these orangutans. Let's see if I didn't upload them. Here, let me go back here, and we're going to pull it up on the screen. Okay, give me 1 second. And
King Louie from the Jungle Book, wasn't he an orangutan?
Yes. So they're actually. So actually, what he was referring to are the orangutan, Borneo. Borneo. Okay, so they were the orangutans out of an island called Borneo. Okay, is what he was referring to. And he said that this is what he believes those people, those explorers, were actually encountering, were these orangutans out of Borneo or something like that. They don't have to be out of Borneo, but all over the world, he thinks that this is what they were seeing. And I can't disagree, actually, Barry. And so I thought this was really cool. I thought maybe we should talk about this today a little bit, at least, because, you know, some of the blimmies were actually pictured as, you know, fair-skinned with no hair on their bodies. Okay. Yeah. But some of them, like I showed you that picture, some of them were covered in hair. Okay. Now, but what else has hair all over their bodies and is bipedal and looks like that? A Bigfoot as well. Okay. And some of the Bigfoots, like the skunk apes, could be confused as orangutans. The first Bigfoot that Matthew Delph ever saw, he said it looked exactly like an orangutan. And I think that was in Virginia.
We've got that famous picture of the one in the bushes too, that was some sort of
skunk ape.
Supposedly, yeah, and it definitely looked like it had orangutan proportions to it. And you know, if I'm trying to remember the one that was a video of the one that's taken off the wood, and they think it's trying to get to like a bee's nest or something up in the tree, but its back is to when it stood up. Did it look orangutan like, or was it different? I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't know. I mean, this that does look like it has a face kind of in its chest. I mean, I don't know. I think that this could be an explanation, but I don't think it's the end all be all explanation for blimmies. I don't. But I think that it is a good factor. Okay, I think it's something that it does make sense. It does.
At least something that could add to the legend, you know? Exactly.
Yeah. But I don't think that that's the case in all. I mean, look at this right here. Let's look at this one. Oh man. I mean, that's two of them. I was trying to figure out what I was looking at. Sometimes it's hard for me to tell what I'm looking at first. Okay. And,
you got me on that one. Where's the other one?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think this is the case for all of them. Let's look up. Hold on, let me go back up here to the top. Let's look up the Mayaka skunk ape.
The pictures that he had for those were really, really good. That's why he kept saying that they weren't photo edited, but they really kind of showed how, you know, how much they look like they don't have the.
Yeah.
Okay, now, isn't it interesting that almost our entire knowledge of skunk ape begins with that picture? How much does that factor into skunk apes right there?
It does.
Seriously, that picture is like legendary.
It is. Well, and a lot of people say, well, no, it was an escaped monkey, you know, like some kind of ape at the zoo or something. But I mean, look at this. Here's another picture.
She snapped like 2 or 3 of them. Yeah.
Yeah, check out that. Look at its jaw, like its teeth right there. I mean, it's wild, right? Yeah, it does look like an ape of some sort. It looks like an orangutan or something. But that's what Matthew Delph explained his first Bigfoot looked like, that kind of.
Did Matt say how tall it was?
I don't remember. We'll have to ask him. But I mean, something like that could be what some of these people who encounter blimmies were seeing, because Bigfoots don't necessarily have a neck. Okay. They don't always have like a neck. Look at this. This is like an AI picture that I have right here, but it looks like this kind of got its face down a little further down in its chest. You know what I mean? And of course that is AI. Okay. But still.
But I think it's a good representation.
No
neck wise, you know?
It is. And if you look at like this painting right here, these paintings of these blimmies, these are supposed to be blimmies covered in hair. I mean, it looks like a Bigfoot or an orangutan. But, but then again, these are holding sticks. They're holding weapons. They're holding stuff that like an orangutan may not hold. Okay. They may be of a higher intelligence here. These ones that they've portrayed on the side of this vase or whatever that is. Okay. So I don't know, Barry. I think it's interesting. Okay. I think it's interesting. I 100% believe, I don't know if this picture is real or not. What do you think about this picture that I always show? You think that's real or is that AI?
You should send it to me. I'll put it through the AI scanner thing.
Let's scan it.
Yeah, send it to me. To me, it was like somebody could have just have been beheaded and then stuff added in. I can't say I buy it, but I don't know. I'm not an AI expert. That's why I put it through that thing.
Yeah.
But it does look like it has a face on the chest. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
I need to put it through the scanner just to know, because it's interesting that you get some of these, the more advanced first fakes that came out were always black and white like that. You notice it? Like the ones of the giants and the other things like that, somebody just standing over like a building while people are walking with them. It's like they're just part of the parade going along, Yeah. It's how to be bigger than the buildings around them,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's Caesar's friend on Planet of the Apes movies. That does not look like Rowdy McDowell, a.k.a. Peter Vincent. That does not look like him. But the concept, honestly, the concept of Planet of the Apes was quite fascinating. Going back to the first one with, was it Charlton Heston? It was quite fascinating how the apes actually were the prime deal. They kept saying, or must have saying that the humans can't talk. That. They were just violent people who killed themselves off. It's quite interesting. Quite interesting. Just interesting perspectives,
It is. It is. Well, getting back to the blimmies, we've got reports of these things all over the world. And in that video you sent, that fellow was saying that, well, there was actually, there were blimmies in India, and they are actually portrayed, like there's wood carvings of them, there's paintings of them. Mm-hmm. And let's see, what exactly you say? He said the ancient Indian text of Raymana, I think that's what he said. Raymana mentions it as Kabanda or Kabanda. That was what they called it. It was an ancient demon that was killed by Rama and his brother. Okay, like there's actually a story of what looks like it had blue skin too. So I thought that was really interesting. But there are carvings, there are paintings all over the world and all the different continents. I think this one right here that we're showing on the screen was supposed to be out of Ethiopia, if I'm not mistaken. There's like tribes in Africa of headless people like this. And of course, the Herodotus, is that how you pronounce his name? He confirmed their existence 2,500 years ago. And he called them headless men, not headless creatures. He describes a race of headless men with eyes and mouths on their chests. And then, of course, 500 years later, Pliny the Elder, I think it was a Roman writer, if I'm not mistaken, he mentions them. And he's the one that coined the term blimier. I say blimmies. But he describes exactly what the Indian text describes the blimmies there as well. But recently, I'm going to say recently, 400 years ago, more recently than 2,500 years ago, Sir Walter Raleigh mentioned them in his book, The Discovery of Guyana. He said they have no heads, their eyes are in their shoulders, and their mouths are in the middle of their breastises. He said they were found in South America. He didn't say breastises, but he said something like that. And so do they exist today? Maybe as orangutans. I don't know. How do you say that? orangutans. You say
How
tomato, I
come,
say tomato.
well, my question for that thing, it might be, CGI, and like some of the pictures, like, well, how would it eat?
Through its mouth and its chest.
Where? There's no mouth on there. Not that I
There's
see.
a mouth right there between its breastises.
Oh, that's what
Between
that
the
is. It's
nipples.
not a nose, and
I
the
guess the
breasts
nipples
are
are
the
the
eyes.
eyes.
But
The
the
eyes are the
breasts are the
nipples.
eyes, and the middle was a nose, and the bottom was like the belly part of it. I thought that was the where the mouth would be.
I think the mouth is right between the nipples.
You think about it, kind of looks like almost a cow.
Billy Herb said the old chest hole.
You send it to me, and I'll put it through my deal. Anyway,
Yeah.
but still, I mean, still that where there's smoke, there's fire. All that across the world is coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting question. What kind of species is that? What kind of alteration of the atom cadmon is that?
Yeah, good question. I mean, you can find
there's some
drawings. That looks like Humpty Dumpty to me. Okay, every time I see that, I think of Humpty Dumpty, who sat on the wall. He had a great fall, and all the king's horses, all the king's men could not put Humpty back together again. And he looks like an egg with legs. Egg, right?
It looks a little.
It's weird.
Yeah. Humpty Dumpty. So, do you think that this is the origin of the headless horseman? Headless horseman.
I don't know. I think that they. I don't know. I don't think this is the. No, I don't think this is the origin of the headless horseman. I don't know. I don't think so. Man, I can't find my notes on the headless horseman. But anyways, we'll pull up some pictures of it because this is actually quite an interesting. It is the Halloween, y'all. Okay, and there is a headless horseman. Let me see if I can pull up the screen. I'm doing an awful lot of pulling up on the screen today. Headless horseman. Oh, I just have the Wikipedia here, so we can actually look at the folklore behind this. Okay, if you guys want to see, this is Wikipedia. I don't know. I trust TikTok more than Wikipedia these days, but it says. I know. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. It says the headless horseman is an archetype of mythical figure that appeared in folklore around Europe in the Middle Ages. Is traditionally depicted as riders on horseback who are missing their heads, seem to have lost their head. But it is quite common. Okay, as far as the legend of Sleepy Hollow goes, that was a story written in 1820 by American writer Washington Irving. It's adapted into several works of literature, of course. In 1949, Disney animated The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. And in 1999, Tim Burton made the film Sleepy Hollow, which is really good as well. But it goes back into Irish folklore. Oh, gosh. Let me take that down. Scottish folklore, Welsh folklore, German folklore, English, and American as well. And let's see. Let's read this one about America. It says, in southern Texas, stories of a figure known as El Muerto have circulated since the mid-1800s. El Muerto is said to dangle his head from his saddle, and his horse is variably said to produce a lightning from its hooves as they strike the ground. It's been speculated that the particular iteration of the headless horseman was based on another legend where a man was captured and beheaded for stealing horses. And the man was made an example when his unalivers tied his decapitated body to a wild horse, tied the head to a pommel of the saddle, and sent the horse on its way. Actually, have you ever seen that movie? What is that called? Django? Is it Django, maybe? That's a pretty good movie. It's got Jamie Foxx in it. And I believe there's a scene in, if I'm not mistaken, it's Django, where like one of their buddies rolls up on a horse and I think he's holding his head. He's dead. He did. Okay, but it is kind of it's kind of like the headless horseman, I guess. So I don't know. It's often depicted in Halloween horror, stuff. I don't know if you go to like a haunted forest. We have haunted forest out here in Georgia, and oh man, I actually haven't been back to the haunted forest since I was in high school. You know why, Barry?
Why is that?
I went with a big group of my girlfriends, and we rode in my friend Shannon's Suburban. I'll never forget. We were in her Suburban. We were looking cute. We were all dressed up, nice shoes, nice clothes, nice white tennis shoes and stuff. and it had just rained, and we went to this place called Camp Blood out in Carrollton, okay, out in West Georgia. And we were the first group to go. They let too many of us go in this group, and I was in the front of the line. And somehow a guy with a chainsaw scared the girls in the back, and we were walking up a hill, and they pushed everybody over to run, and I got stomped on and left behind, and I was covered in mud from head to toe. And I was yelling at that chainsaw guy. I was so mad at him, and I told him to screw you. But anyways, I walked out of there covered in mud from head to toe, and I never went back to a haunted forest ever again after that. So, but anyways, I had to take off all my clothes, most of them, to get in the car because I was so muddy.
Sounds like you got traumatized.
I don't go. Yeah, that was one of those core memories.
Negative identity there.
Yeah, core memories. So, but yeah, places like that, they usually have a headless horseman, wandering around the woods, and so they did there as well, from what I can recall. So, but anyways, yeah, we'll stop sharing.
Something that I've tried to kind of think of too, and I've not seen really of is any extraterrestrial species that have been described as looking like those blimmies, and I don't recall of any, or none that I've seen anyway. So just little things that look at for just little frames of reference sometimes,
Oh yeah, well I was wondering like how many people have seen a blimmy in modern day. Well, I said modern day, that was 400 years ago with Sir Walter Raleigh. That's not modern at all. Okay, but compared to 2,500 years ago, it is. And so, what's up, Trebles? Thank you for being here with Paranoid Radio. Y'all go subscribe over his channel too. Thank you so much for being here. But in modern day, the only report that I've had of a blimmy came from Arkeem Ra. And Arkeem did not know what this thing was that he said that he saw. And he actually, this is part of my remote viewing target he gave me a while back. And it was, I talked about this at the conference, actually. It was the underground cloning facility that he remembered. He said it was an underground facility under Davenport, Iowa. And he said that while he was down there, he recalls seeing a person, a human, with his face on his chest. And he did not know what those were, never heard of it. But then he came across it one day and was like, oh, that's what I remember seeing down in that facility, that cloning facility. So, gosh, I mean, we talk about everything being weaponized, right, Barry? What would be the purpose of them cloning and weaponizing blimmies, of all things?
I have no idea.
I wonder if they have some kind of special abilities.
No
Other
idea.
than they can take a hard knock on the head. They don't care.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm not an expert on the blimmies. That's kind of a new deal to me. Yeah. So, that's very interesting, though.
It is. Yeah. I don't know. I think it'd be cool to have some blimmies around. Okay. Like, I think it's interesting that we've lost so many of these beings that lived on this earth. I do believe they've all lived on this earth. These maps, like the Piri Reis map. I mean, unless somebody just is making up we live in the Truman Show and people are just making this stuff up. We live in some kind of simulation. I do believe if all of this history that we're shown, like the Piri Reis map, is real, then these things existed at some time.
And also we really do have to look at all the different factions of beings that have come here interdimensionally, extraterrestrial, that have inbred with this planet. I mean, you've got the Urantia book, all these other books that talk about that extensively, and it goes beyond what Ancient Aliens shows us, which is basically just the Greys, the reptiles, and maybe, one of the Andromedans, maybe. Man, it goes way beyond that. We've got more stars and exoplanets in this Milky Way than we can count, let alone when you start dealing with extragalactic factions and really what's truly going on. You know what I mean? It's very interesting. But some of these things that are probably being hoarded that were just offspring of some of the non-corporeal beings that came here, the different non-corporeal types, non-physicals that started breeding with each other. And I mentioned before, the beings that Urantia book calls the midway creatures. And you've got these primary midway creatures and the secondary midway creatures. And they talk about how you have some of the first quote unquote ancient aliens that came here weren't even physical. And they start taking on bodies, while they're here because they got trapped within the magnetic fields and light fields of the earth when they came here. You know what I mean? And in that way, so they start dealing with bodies, or that they had bodies that they aggressed when they came here. And then they had to keep having those herbs that came up on the craft. And once those were depleted, they didn't have any more ability to sustain the life circuits of the universe that kept them immortal. You know, it's very interesting when you start looking at what that book says about some of that stuff. I've said before that I've got issues with some of it, but when you can't throw the bathwater out with the baby. And in that way, it describes some of these factions in a way that's maybe a bit neo-Christian like, but whatever, you know what I mean? But the point is, we have to know about these different species that came here, galactic wise, universal wise, and it goes into that in depth. So does the Keys of Enoch. So it's just, you know, like I said, they're not they're just tools, you know, but good food for thought, if nothing else.
It is. And Beth wants to know, where is this cloning facility factory entrance in Davenport? Beth, I don't know. You'll have to. I do have a show that Arkeem and I did. It's called Underground Davenport, or Cloning Facility Under Davenport, Iowa, or something. It's on my playlist with my remote viewing shows. So definitely go check that out. It's a really good show, by the way. And he said the claim to fame of that place is where Hillary Clinton got cloned. This is for entertainment purposes only. Okay. but that's what he remembered and recalled from being there. And so, yeah.
Isn't it about time that one clone is proven? Don't you think?
Well, there are people that have come out and said that they are 100% clones. That Kid Boo, remember we talked about that Kid Boo guy? Do you remember talking about him? I've talked about him on the show. I know the audience will remember who I'm talking about. He was a music artist, and he's the one that came out and said, "Shout out to Clone Aid." He was like, I'm a replicant, you know, clone model 5900253 or something. I don't know. And he was very matter of fact that he had been cloned. He was actually a clone of himself. And he said that, I mean, he was just kind of being a whistleblower on it. Now, he was straight-faced and pretty somber as he's talked about it. And at some point recently, within the past few months, he was doing a live on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or somewhere, maybe on TikTok. And he showed his clone. His clone showed up. Like, it was him and his clone. It was supposed to be like him. Maybe it was two clones. But they were sitting beside each other.
He's got his clone right next to him, right?
Yes. Yeah. Came and sat down right next to him. It was an exact replica, same tattoo, same everything. I saw it. Okay. And it was very convincing. And his feed got cut right at that point. And I don't know what happened.
Of course it did. Of course it did.
It was weird.
And it can be proven that this individual is not a fraternal identical twin. None of that. That could be proven. There's proof of all this, right? Of any of that.
Well, there are cloning facilities.
I don't buy it.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not even saying that it doesn't exist, Jessica. I'm not saying that. But I've got qualms with how easily it's being said right now, the replicant factor, and we start dealing with digital twins. They should be able to definitely prove that right now. I'm not seeing any proof of anything. People making tons of claims. I'm making claims. I can prove very little outside of science, but it's getting to a point now when you have these coalitions of people that are doing this, banding together in this hive mind type of formation. They should start being able to prove something genetically and scientifically. If this really is going to go anywhere in the scientific community, it's got to go a step forward. You know what I mean? And again, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not real and doesn't exist. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that there needs to be proof given right now beyond a bunch of fantastical stories. Okay? And that's where we're at still. We're in a lot of people that want fantasy before real contact, before real anything. And if you don't go along with the fantasy of all this, you'll get outed real quick.
Yeah. Well, guess what? You know what I learned this weekend was that this is all a dream. Okay, so it's all a dream. We're just in a dream. Anyways, I learned some really cool stuff actually this week, and it actually makes more sense thinking that like we're just all in a big dream right now. It's the only thing that makes sense actually.
Go run in that tree out there and tell me that's just a dream.
Well, if it's a
Go head
portal, I
on to
will.
it and tell me that's a dream.
If it's a portal, I totally will.
Or tell me it's a hologram. It's a hologram.
It is a
I don't know, man. I'm just at a different level because I've had so much weird stuff happen to me that I have to be I'm skeptical of a lot of stuff because I know everything that most of these people are being fed about the contact scenario itself is BS. And I know because I'm old enough, I go far back to see before they started neuroprogramming people and everybody was a super soldier. Everybody's being cloned. Everybody's in this program. Everybody's in that program. I mean, that is like standard now. And that's the narrative now. Not contact like what I've had, you've had, and a lot of other people. That is really what the world is made up of. That information is just thrown under the rug for stuff that is fantastical. And I'm not even saying all of it's not real. I'm not saying that. But there's a point of it where we have to be very careful because in these associations, these communities, it's like moth to flame for people that are, 1, delusional with mental problems, 2, delusional, 3, just plain liars, and 4,
this is for
horrible
entertainment
people.
purposes only.
Well, I'm saying we have to use our discernment when listening to testimony a lot. Okay, in that way, because moth to flame, these communities, these subjects are for those individuals. I'm not saying that's wrong or bad, but it makes discernment needs to be high. Me too. I may be lying to you. You never know. Cooked. You know what I mean? But the point is, we have to use discernment and what resonates and what does not. But right now, we have to acknowledge how much neuroprogramming is going on to actually design a narrative for contact and for us becoming a type 1 civilization. It's not natural. People talking about the AI, this whole thing that's going on right now. I mean, Jessica, I've talked to myself. I don't know about you. I've talked to over 300 super soldiers now. Easy. Have you? I'm sure you have. So, I mean, at what point is it that this makes acknowledge that this is a hive mind, just like the mall you were just talking about? That's another example of dream engineered hive mind and stuff they're putting into these digital twins, which nobody talks about enough. Let's see some of those deals of those. You know,
Well,
there was an episode I was watching recently of Star Trek, the original, and it's one where they go to this planet and there are these conscious beings on there that look like these kind of like these brains in these like glowing cases or something, all right? But they start taking over like bodies. And it's an agreement though, so that they can build android bodies so that these beings can transfer themselves into that and propagate themselves. And when it comes down to that, some of them, the lady said, I really don't want to. What the hell was this? Spock said, I ain't giving up this body, really. And started tricking them. And then he started telling the woman, looking at her and said, this body, oh, this is your body we're designing. And it looks like this mold thing, this body, and say, oh, I'm going to give it like breasts and things and make it look like a woman. Aren't you looking forward to transferring into that? And he's looking at her. You know what I mean? And it's that same situation we're dealing. That's a digital twin thing. And they're destroying people's lives to put those experiences into these digital twins so they can go terraform Mars or wherever or be part of these programs. And it's splitting these people to saying, I have alters, the other me. I mean, I've heard it from clients that aren't even involved in this stuff. That's where I really get a lot of my information. Get somebody who's coming to you for like something that has nothing to do with this, and it winds up they have been in some type of a program. And what if it doesn't go along with the programs we hear about in the media? Only certain things, because there's so many different programs. That way, we're not giving the right thing. And that goes, and the real deal. And that goes. I'm going all the way back there to before Barbara Marchinique. I was trying as a kid to figure out what in the hell was happening to me. And it wasn't coalition with what I'm getting from, Omni Magazine was about the best information source until Art Bell came around for me. Yeah.
That was pre-Art Bell, huh?
There was a middle section that was called the Antimatter section. And it was all about contact, extraterrestrials, and extraterrestrial contact. And that's the first time I ever heard about Billy Meyer was in that book. Or when I heard about Travis Walton, it was in that magazine. It was part of the middle. Or Betty and Barney Hill even. They were in there. So I'm going back to about 1981, 82. 83, 84, 85, those years. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Anyway,
wow. I was just a baby back then. I was a baby.
I was really, really young, but I had
Yeah.
access to the information. You know what I mean? The stuff was happening to me. As soon as I could
Yeah.
read and understand material, that's what I went to. I dumped old Green Eggs and Ham, the world's first stalker, and I ditched the Cat in the Hat because he was doing nothing but traumatizing those kids. You know, on a very rainy day, they got traumatized hard. At least the boy did. The girl, his sister loved it, but the boy was traumatized. But I left that loose and started going for books that had UFOs on it and things like that at the library. You know what I mean? And the cool pictures and the books of the pictures of the ships, trying to see if it looked like what I had seen that day or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's just important because that influences who we're going to be in terms of contact. And now it's changed, the narrative changed with this neuroprogramming. And whether good or bad, but it's changed the narrative of what's happening. So we're getting all this false information, alien invasion. When's that going to happen? It's not going to happen. But it's giving so much fear mongering and altered timeline for these things like a kill shot. They're trying to jump us to that. Jump to these negative aliens coming for alien invasion. All the while they're undermining our neurocognitive law because there is none. Neurocognitive rights, excuse me. You know, I would advise everybody to maybe check out that recent episode of what's his name? Alex Jones. He had Jesse Beltran on there. And Jesse Beltran is like one of the heads of the Nexus, Mind Nexus. And you're seeing actually Alex Jones gets a non-linear junction scan. And I think there's something in his head or something it detected. Check that out. See, but there's no neurocognitive law. These people are talking about it, but that doesn't sell. Why aren't those people at those conferences talking? You know what I'm saying? How come the people that are making these wild claims are banding together, getting their money together? I know they're expensive, but get these scans done. Announce their cognitive rights to their county. And so that way, when it goes to court, you prove these frequencies. They've got science behind this based on the wireless body area network. You can detect where these biosensors and semiconductors are, quote unquote implants. Look up what the implants they're doing in Australia, the ones that are partially organic. It's like $1 million implant. Look at what it does. This is stuff that is transparent, okay? Not just me talking. You can look that up. But people want fantasy and stuff, and they're not listening to what I'm saying. They're not listening to Nexus, Mind Nexus. It's just frustrating to me, but I'm just keeping it real, okay? But I see so much needing fantasy right now, and so many people bit by the fame bug. They want to be famous. They want notoriety. You're not like that. That's why I work with you. You're like me. You don't really care about that. It's cool. You're doing it for fun. You're doing it for knowledge and expansion. Not to be famous, not to get rich, unless you're like a few people I've met. You're not getting rich on this.
Man, I'd love to make some money.
This is about time is running out, Jessica. We don't have any time left here.
I mean,
humanity's close to losing the stewardship of this planet, whether it's by biological disaster or nuclear war or any of these things they're trying to shift us to. It's got to be stopped and quick. And I'm hoping that's what the work you're doing and everyone, some people we know that haven't been bit by the fame bug are doing right now. And we talk about the dark times and the war and the end game and all that. That's where we're at right now. It's just maybe not exactly the way that's biblically represented. You know?
Yes. I know, Barry.
The great revelations, the great thing coming up. Maybe that's AI. Maybe it's a submarine.
Yeah. It is probably the future is AI. Okay, and that's the thing that I love about you, Barry, is like you and I both just put our heads down and we just go at these topics. You know, like I actually just did a show with Jock Doubleday yesterday. We recorded a show. It was amazing. He gave me a remote viewing target. I'll go ahead and tell the audience what it was because you're going to see the show by next week. The remote viewing target was the Aether. And it was a blind target. He didn't tell me till I went live with him recording the show, live recording. Okay. And so I didn't know. And I was like, what? ether, or the aether, I think is how you say it. And but the data lined up with what the aether is. And it got deep. We had a deep conversation. I can't wait for that to come out. And but he and I, it's people like Jock and like yourself that I love to work with, because we just put it all out there. We're confident enough in what we do in our research to just put it out there and not have prior knowledge as to what we're going to be even talking about on these shows. And we can just and have good conversations about it. And we love it. I'm sorry if you're not doing that kind of stuff. I can't wait. You know what I mean? Like we're trying to get as much information out as we can right now. And I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it, y'all. Okay.
I'll tell you what, two things. One is I've got to get corny because Beth, that's funny what she says. No, that's funny.
That comment.
It makes me think if you go back again, I got to do a movie reference. But there was a movie when Tom Selleck was actually doing Magnum PI. He took a small break and did a movie with the guy from Kiss, Gene Simmons, called The Racist, called Runaway. Oh, he is bad. Anyway, Runaway.
Oh my God. For entertainment purposes only.
As Kiss, he called himself the Demon, remember? Oh, no wonder. No. But anyway, point being, he's playing the bad guy on that movie. But Tom Selleck is playing a cop. But the point is, Runaway is all supposed to be about maybe around this time right now. And its AI is like running everything. His housekeeper is a robot. Gene Simmons has got a gun that he shoots, and it's got some type of a chip in it that is heat seeking. So it's like following people like heat-seeking missile. It's quite interesting. He's got these little spider robot things, and almost look like some of these things that are coming from the Matrix like type. I've seen stuff like that on people, astral things. Anyway, just I'm messing with Beth.
Well, let me read this. Let me read her comment so that people listening on podcast platforms can hear it. She said, "No robot to wash dishes one day gets hacked. Put a pillow over your face when you're sleeping the next." So, in case the podcasting audience was wondering, that's a good comment. She's right.
In that movie, his housekeeper went wild, and a lot of the robots are going crazy and killing their owners. I'm sorry, unaliving their owners. That's what that movie Runaway was about. So when she wrote that immediately thought about the housekeeper trying to take him out after he cooked dinner. The robot, it took dinner and served it up and tried to take him out. Kind of like chopping ball, Yeah. go to the mannequins, take you out, and all the robots in there. Anyway, when dealing with what you said about ether and our friend Jock Doubleday, the ether, you can look at that several different ways. One, as in almost a type of a life energy in terms of astral material, that type of a way, you know what I mean? Almost a type of an orgone in a way. Or you can take it to levels like what this book does when talking about the mansion worlds, or what the Tibetan Book of the Dead calls the bardo, which are the different astral levels that you have after death, okay? That deals with a lot of ether. In this book, they have something else. Anybody that has one of these ranches, check out what they talk about the death process in here, about that far through. Anyway, sorry.
About that far through.
No, seriously. They talk about on some of these quote unquote bardo worlds or mansion worlds that you have what's called Morantia companions. And then they start talking about after the astral worlds or the Morantia worlds. Morontia, and it's a different type of ether they're describing there, like a finer, a different type of ether. It's all in there. They have a chapter in here over ether. It's really interesting. So I'm sure I'd be interested to see what information you get on that. And the beings, we know that we're so typical of calling things, fourth dimension, fifth dimension, sixth dimension. People don't even know what the hell that means. Sixth dimension, density, fourth density, frequency. But they really don't know scientifically what the difference is, even between density and dimension. So when you start dealing with the concept, taking away some of those classifications and dealing with the ether life substance and the different inorganic, non-physical beings that live within, it changes the scope of things. And I can tell you that some of those things, I've wondered, because why do the earthbounds I've dealt with, they're aware of some of these other presences, even though they maybe can't see them. Some can, some can't, but they're communicating. And I don't know exactly what the quote unquote frequency or vibrational difference is, but I don't think it's the same as our scientific concept is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just like where does that begin and end when Sasquatch is not manifested, when they're in an energetic form? Or are they like that other guy said everybody bought into? Oh, they're in this big old cribs. They're all living like Hugh Hefner over there, and they got these huge cribs, and they're watching us on TVs and all this and that. Is that what it is? Or are they non-physicals that are in a dimension, a different vibration that is almost infiltrating with things that we call ghosts, things that we call non-inorganic beings? We need to figure out these classifications and how they go and how they are on the other side of consciousness. I think it's important. I think we don't have it right now. Anyways,
oh yeah.
Sorry.
Well, speaking of beings that are like manifesting and things like that, I was actually hanging out with Robert Coley. You guys remember he came on the show. We talked about the secret space program. I had met him at a UFO conference that I spoke at. He was at the conference this weekend down in Florida. He lives in North Georgia at Lake Lanier, y'all. He's got a sailboat on Lake Lanier, the haunted cursed lake up in North Georgia. And he had talked to us about now I'm bringing it back on the show here in the next couple of weeks. Okay. He's going to come back. He actually gave me a hard copy picture right here. I have it. We're going to show it when he comes back on the show. So I'm just going to give you a little teaser. There's a mantid being right here in his lab. This is an actual picture of a mantid being that manifested in a picture in his lab. It wasn't there when they were sitting there, but when they got the picture, the film developed, there was a humanoid, human-sized mantid being in that picture. And we're going to show that to the audience. It's a really good picture, y'all. And Barry, I'll show it to you after the show today. But
cool.
But anyways, yeah, talking about manifesting and not that show with Jock Doubleday, y'all. Will, as soon as it comes out, I will post it all over social media. He's going to do some editing. We went off on some tangents. We spent 3 hours.
Did you talk about any of our propositions on some of the terraforming of the Earth?
We did. Actually, it has a lot to do with the ether.
Drones and stuff.
We talked about the seams and the quartz being inside the seams. He was explaining to me exactly how, and to the audience, how the builders of this planet came in and put glued the seams together and stuff. And it has to do with quartz and stuff. I mean, it was fantastic. It's going to be a great show whenever it airs. We did a lot of small talk, so he's got to cut all that out.
There'd be like papers written on that. He's pretty well versed on those.
He's very smart.
Yeah, because I want to know, like how much what we saw as far as those dragonfly drones possibly being ancient, being part of that process. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. And Brooke says, I've had many healings by those mantid type beings on crafts, and that is very interesting. I've actually woken up to have one standing by my bed one night, so I've encountered them as well. Okay, so I'm not saying it's common. It's definitely not common, but there's more than just me that has experienced that. So
and it's worth notifying and being aware of how many different types of insectoids there are. It's huge. That's
right.
What's the insectoids on this planet, just species wise? Because like what I interacted with, like Yandar Xandar, looked like very much like a grasshopper or a locust. And locusts are actually real locusts. Are actually grasshoppers that go through a different form, but where I come from, people always mistake cicadas that are screaming in the trees, them and katydids, that those are locusts. No, locusts look like grasshoppers. Yeah, they got the barbs on them. They push each other along. That's how they take down fields and stuff. Anyway,
wow.
Yeah, but the insectoid I dealt with look more like that than a mantid. So, and dealing with something coming from way far out. Or some of the stuff that's been seen on Mars, some of those different insectoids have been reported there. I find that really interesting. You know what I mean? And then you've got the different types of the mantids. You got the one like you saw. You've got the one who don't quite have this much of the praying mantis look. You know what I mean? A little less than that. Yes. And then you've got the others that are giant. They're 20 feet plus tall. People encounter them. And those are the ones that say that they're basically life carriers that seed life on the planets and solar systems and then monitor the evolution for however long.
Wow.
And I mentioned before in that book I just showed, the Aranta, they've got a whole section over what's called life carriers. I did a video on this on my channel. Check out book reviews. But anyway, it's the life carriers, and then how much, like, what are the different containers of consciousness that a being that is quote unquote a life carrier would have as it evolves. We know some of them are going to be non-corporeal, or some of them like panspermia, or others, another incarnation like mantids. Food for thought.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Night Gazer says, was that at CERN? No. I don't think CERN was created back. I mean, we don't know. They say that they had the opening day a few years ago, right? At CERN. Their interesting little opening ceremony there.
Well, one of those things you sent me, didn't it say that CERN was responsible for 3i Atlas? It's because the
portals. That's what they were saying. They said they had opened CERN. They had opened up a portal, like a wormhole, to the 3i Atlas or something like that, and that's how they were receiving this telepathic communication with these Draco reptilians that were holograms. I mean, my data just said Draco reptilians, basically. That is exactly what was it. Remember, it was in my data. It said Draco and reptilian. And so that's just weird. These are blind targets, y'all. Okay. I don't know about these other remote viewers. John Vivico does blind targets too, him and his team. They're all blind. Okay. They do the same. What I'm trying to say is they do the same type of remote viewing that I do.
And not the first time the data you two have is matched up. That's the third time.
I need to meet him. We need to start doing some collaborations or something, or not. Maybe we should do it.
That'd be nice if I ever, I've never seen him again or talked to him again since that video and we met in person. But these communities are interesting, and sometimes not everybody gets along, and other people don't want to interfere and interact with other people again. So it is what it is. You know what I mean? I don't care anymore. But it would be nice. I'd love to see you and him do some work. Honestly, I think it'd be really good. He's a nice guy.
Yes.
And honestly, he's the first high-level remote viewer I had met like that. I listened to Ed Dames and other people, but he's the first one I had met that has had training like you and does stuff like that. And for the record, I think it's interesting just to bring it up that I've seen like there's been like some cool workshops that go on at conferences and stuff. I did one with somebody that was from Farsight, and it was a good workshop she put on. Actually, I nailed both targets, each one she had put out. You know what I mean? And it was good. It was informative. But then after that, for me just to go and say, oh, I'm a remote viewer. Okay, that's why I've never said that I'm a remote viewer in the shows we do, because that's just 1 3-hour, 2.5 hour workshop doesn't make me a remote viewer, someone like you that trained for years. Mm-hmm. And I think that needs to be a discrepancy made there. People like you that have trained in it for years and went through all these different modalities, opposed to someone like me that just took a workshop and, hey, guess what? I'm a remote viewer too now. And you know what I mean? It was different degrees, though. I think it needs to be acknowledged,
Well, thank you. Well, listen, I acknowledge that, and all the people that I do remote viewing with acknowledge that, but we don't, it's not our place to say anything about it, really. So, but there is a distinction in my book. There is a distinction, y'all. I put a lot of time into this stuff, and I love doing it, but I don't judge anybody. It's all good.
Okay? No, it's not about judgment. It's just about recognition. Just about recognition. Okay. I think you all the trained in it need to be recognized a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
And it helps. I think it gives it even more professional tone. You know what I mean?
Well, thank you. Maria says that CERN was created in 1954. I didn't even realize that. Oh my gosh. So yeah, it's 70 something years old at this point.
Really? It wasn't part of the Cosmotron, and the Cosmotron was the very first quote unquote cyclotron that would be similar to the Hadron Collider we have now. And that was in the 60s. I didn't recall ever hearing about a collider before that one. That's interesting. I had to look it up.
Yeah. We'll have to look it up for sure. Okay. Brooke said, I think the 3i Atlas is messing with us all. I saw 4 reptile type beings wearing the same outfits. I see the beautiful blonde type Federation beings wearing something too. Okay. Hope they were wearing something over their breastises. Just kidding. Oh my gosh. This is This has been a really fun show today, Barry, and I know it went a lot longer than normal. We're like an hour over what we normally would do almost, and because my son is on fall break, y'all, and so I was able to do a little bit of a longer show today for you guys. And I think we covered a lot of topics today. I mean, we've gone all over the board, and we've circled back around to Three Eye Atlas. We started off with Three Eye Atlas. We went into the Appalachian Chimeras, particularly the Snallygaster, and even the stars on the sides of buildings and those beautiful quilt stars on buildings. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, it has to do with potentially the Underground Railroad and escaping slaves from the South headed north up the Appalachian Trail, probably up that way, because a lot of these houses in the Appalachian Mountains do have those star quilt patterns on the side. And through this research, I saw that a lot of the houses, they would say those emblems protected against the Snallygaster, but actually a lot of those were sending the people who were running away from the South headed north, were headed them and sending them in the right direction as to where to go when they were escaping the South. So I think that's really wild and really cool. And so, yeah, I learned something today, Barry. I always learn something. Yeah.
You know, something else, just to throw this out. And this is in no way financial advice at all. But I will say that everyone should be very aware of that massive flash crypto crash that just happened, and stock crash that just happened a few days ago. Where were you when that happened? And you have to pay attention to the point of when traders and institutions drop everything and dip it so they can get back in at the baseline and change everything. And it's that time when you get millionaires made, when things dip like they just did. When you see something like XRP go down to $1 or these other go down to 10 cents. It was crazy. I couldn't get my orders in. So just a little bit of word there. I can only say what I do, but not financial advice. I'm just saying keep an eye out and watch it. It's interesting information.
It's for entertainment purposes only, y'all.
Interesting times we live in, to say the least, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Barry's a money guy, y'all, and stuff too. So he's investing and stuff? Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Trading?
A trader. Used to do a lot of more stocks, options, but I found that crypto is more lucrative and not as manipulated as the stock market is at this point. It will be. They're getting it there, but not yet. Still a little bit wild west left in there.
Oh man. Well, I don't know. Yeah. Well, that's really cool. That's really cool. And we do have interesting times ahead. And I don't want to, upset anyone. I know I'd mentioned earlier in the show that there is a couple of people I spoke with, at least one, at that conference. They're pretty convinced, like on a psychic level, and just knowing and being part of with these intelligence communities and stuff. They said that there could be some sort of a grid down situation within the next month, they said, and it would last over 2 weeks, he said. And so just don't live in fear. Just be prepared, y'all, just in case. And it may just be like an internet crash or something. Could be, if it's even that. But just prepare, get some food, get enough rations for your families for the last year, good month or two, just in case. And take care of yourselves, y'all. And if anybody is in the North Georgia area, I'm not speaking at this event. I have nothing to do with it. But there is a Green Ice Festival this weekend up in Chickamauga that I talk about a lot. So I don't know. I'm going to see if Greg Smith comes on the show. He investigates the Chickamauga area. I'll see if he's going to be up there.
What's the name of the creature up there? Is the Sasquatch? Ichimoku?
The Green Eyes.
That's Green Eyes. Okay. I was watching a deal about another Bigfoot today called something different. And it's a little bit bigger, but it's something like that. But it's not Green Eyes. But it's got a unique name. Oh, sorry, I can't remember now.
Let me tell you, what's so funny about this is, like, if you go to their website for this Green Ice Festival, because y'all, I do my research before I go somewhere, and look for when they have like a mascot, they don't even know what this thing is, so they just make it into like a goblin ghost with green eyes. And we've been talking about how it's a Gugway, it's a Dogman, it's some kind of just ancient entity, and that I just wanted to show the audience like what the people at Chickamauga, what they see it as. It just looks like a Mothman kind of with a almost like a hillbilly hat. Okay, with big green eyes. I mean, because literally nobody knows what old green eyes is.
It looks like Cousin It with the hat.
I think it's cute. I think it's so cute, man. And so this is what Old Green Eyes is at that festival. So shout out to whoever's throwing that festival. I think it's great. And I love these small town, festivals, especially when it comes to cryptids. And that is, you guys can find more information. It says greeneyesfestival.com. So if you guys want to go to that, you can probably, I don't know if you got to have tickets to go or whatever. I don't know. If I go, I'm just going to show up. But anyways, it'll probably be good. I'm sure they're going to have some vendors and stuff and get to go to the battlefield. Chickamauga Battlefield is just right there. And it's definitely would be worth the trip. Okay. So, and I am not associated with this festival, y'all. Once again, I just want to let you know, I just like a good festival, okay, and in Georgia too.
You know who I want to meet this Halloween?
Who's that?
Michael Myers of Decatur.
Decatur, Georgia?
I guess that's where it is. Okay, yeah. You don't know who that is? Michael Myers of Decatur.
I know Michael Myers from the movies.
Get on Facebook and type that in, or on Instagram, type that in. Michael Myers of Decatur. That cat, he's been doing it for years. His wife fills him. He walks all around that mask. Says, "You're an idiot." He's always doing some weird, crazy stuff. Yeah, check that out. I think he's a soldier of some type. When he comes back from overseas, he dresses up as Michael Myers. He goes way far with it. It's hilarious.
Oh, I just looked it up. Yeah, it's just a guy dressed like Michael Myers.
Even his little son is doing it, but it goes viral. It's hilarious.
Oh,
anyway,
gosh.
sorry.
I love that.
That original movie. As a kid, that original movie, there was two parts of it I found kind of scary. One was how he was kind of stalking that kid at the school, and then the other part how the kid keeps going to seeing him like carrying people into the other house and him standing outside watching their house. I thought that was fairly creepy.
It's very creepy,
especially back then, in like 79 through 83. There's a whole thing was don't talk to any strangers when they come to the school. Like there's these perverts running around all the time trying to abduct kids from school grounds. That was the thing back then,
Oh no!
Or as they're walking home and stuff. Different generation. You know what happened to Dudley and Arnold on Different Strokes? They got jacked by the guy that sold the bikes. He's a pervert.
Oh, God. Oh my God!
Seriously, it was a different era,
It was. Yeah, I remember when I was in high school. This is like in the 1990s, y'all. I had a friend who stopped by my house. It's like a big dude, like one of the big guys. And he put on a Michael Myers mask and had a knife. And he just walked up to my bedroom window and just stood there waiting for me to look out the window. And I did eventually look out my window. And it was pretty scary. It was really bad. And I will never forget that. I was like, why did you do that, dude? Like, it was weird. But yeah, nothing really scares me though, Barry. But back then
I believe you. You go out. You're out there in the ground.
Like that dude just wasted his time peeking at my window. That was his excuse. He put on a mask so you look at my window. I'm just kidding. But
be careful. Yeah. I got a couple of jokes that might traumatize you for a lifetime. Because
of course. Well, it is close to Halloween, Barry, and so I think it was cool that we get to talk about some creepy stuff. I mean, I talk about creepy stuff every day. Every show, it's something creepy. So thank you for being here with me today. And please come back. I know you'll be back before Halloween. We'll talk about some more weird stuff.
Thanks for listening to me. I feel like I wasn't super informed of what we talked about today. So hopefully I kept up my end of the bargain.
It was awesome. I think we did a good job today. I do. And I like I said, I learned a lot today. And also I wanted to recognize Larry Sharp. Thank you, Larry. He's been a member of the Hunt Club for 18 months. I owe you guys a video, and I'll be working on that today or tomorrow for sure. And yeah, happy Wednesday, y'all, and prayers. Thank you, Larry. Happy Wednesday to you, and prayers to you and your family as well. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a member of the Hunt Club. If you guys want to be a member of the Hunt Club, hit the join button on my main page here on YouTube. And Barry, where can everybody find you?
And by the way, I also want to thank you for helping me with the last live I did, which was kind of a Halloween type deal. It was over Jack the Ripper and some serial killers or serial unalivers. Sorry. Anyway, thanks for that. Anybody might like that. It's on my channel. It's the last live I did. You can reach me at barrylittleton13@gmail.com for services. I finally got my email straightened out. I hit people back almost within 24 hours or even less than now, almost immediately.
Man, that's a record.
I finally got it straight. It's not filtering over. I actually get emails now. It changed my whole life. Anyway, you can reach me there at barrylittleton13@gmail.com. Thanks. And also, I'm on YouTube under Barry Littleton. I've done quite a bit of work there. Still putting little stuff on there. I'm on Patreon under Barry Littleton. Also under Instagram, Barry Littleton. And that's it. I don't have any cool handles or nothing, but anyway.
I mean, Barry Littleton's a cool handle. Just saying.
Thanks.
Oh, man. You're
it's right
welcome.
up there with Michelob, right? Anyway.
Oh, man. Gosh, we have the best audience on the internet. We really do. And thank you, Trebles. That's right. Your members and moderators and supporters are the best. You guys rule. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. And you guys remember Trebles. He came on. We talked about his skinwalker grandma and his elf encounter when he was a kid. So thank you for being here again. And thank you to everybody who's here today. Man, we have the best audience. Yes.
Who was the guy talking about the Sasquatch and the staff? Who was that?
Oh, that was Mike Tornancasa of MT Paranormal Life up in Ohio. That was a great show, wasn't it?
Well, I thought that was interesting.
Thank you. Yes, me too. I like Mike, dude. He's awesome. He's a great researcher, and he's a paranormal researcher who has delved into the cryptid community in the cryptid world because he's out there studying. He's connected poltergeist to Bigfoot, or the Bigfoot. What we may think is a Bigfoot throwing rocks at us is actually poltergeist activity, he says, and that could be true.
I like how he connected the scepter to some of their manifesting of paranormal abilities. I thought they're like almost Merlin. I thought that was genius. And
yes.
yeah, definitely. And also when dealing with poltergeists, what I've experienced, is sometimes you have people that are so gifted and such a high power level, but they're unaware of it because it's on like the other side of our awareness, and their abilities start manifesting things around them, creating poltergeists that almost seem like they're attacking them. You know what I mean? But it's their own actual energy. Yeah, it's really fascinating. We're much stronger than we think. And some people are tuned up pretty high, like almost tomorrow people, and they're unaware of it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Thank you, Will. I'm a big fan of yours too. Thank you for being here. Wow. Yeah. We have a lot to think about today, guys. And like I said, I've learned a lot, and Barry, please come back and see us again. But for now, I am dry. Remember that at the beginning of the show? I'm dry.
Somebody's going to go look that up now.
Somebody's going to be like, what is she talking about? That sounds weird. Awkward.
So dry. No one understands how dry. Sing it, you rummy.
all you have to do is go back from the beginning of the show today, y'all. I know it's been a long show, 2.5 hours today. But you'll know what we're talking about if you've been here the whole show. Congratulations to everybody who stuck around and knows what the hell I'm talking about. Okay.
Twilight Zone, Mr. Denton on Doomsday. That's the name of it. You'll never forget it.
I am dry. And I remember from when I died on the battlefield at Chickamauga. Okay. And so if anybody
and has your eyes taken by old green eyes, gee, I'm sure that was a great experience.
Eaten by the galactic body part trader, old green eye. See that cute little old green eye saying they have no idea that was a galactic body part trader, according to my remote viewing data. It just looks like Cousin Knit's cousin.
So technically he was like a bounty hunter, seriously, right?
Yeah.
Technically. Yeah.
Yes. Probably a dogman, actually, I think. Yeah. So anyways, yes, Beth, go watch from the beginning. I am dry, which means I'm just really thirsty. Okay. In case y'all are wondering.
Because it made me think of that Twilight Zone. I know I got stupid, but I couldn't help it. Man. That's every time I've ever seen that one, it makes me laugh so hard.
Oh my gosh. Never dry. Yes. Anyway, y'all, I hope everybody enjoyed the show today. It is it's always fun hanging out with y'all, and it's fun hanging out with you, Barry. And I want to thank everybody who gave super stickers today and were members of the Hunt Club for so long, Larry and Mad Pax and Skip. Thank you so much. And Maureen and Nathan. Thank y'all so much for all the support that y'all give. And to all my moderators, y'all just are amazing. And I appreciate each and every one of y'all and everybody who is here. Okay. Thank y'all for participating in the live chat today. And I will be back tomorrow night. I do have Eric Testerman coming on the show with me. We're going to have a really good remote viewing target for you guys. I'll announce it by tonight or tomorrow. You'll know exactly what that is, but Eric is coming on with me tomorrow. And then on Saturday night, we have the full team. I don't know who else coming, but we got most of the team of Operation Skittles. My team that went out there to Alabama, and we had all that activity with the infrasound. They're coming on the show Saturday night, and we're going to give a debrief to the public about everything that happened that night with the tree getting knocked over, the infrasound, the sickness, the Dogman running across the road and everything. It's amazing, y'all. It's going to be a great show Saturday. So y'all come back and see me. And Barry, we'll see you over on your channel. I hope you'll do a live soon. And,
yeah,
and
I
I'll
might do
be
it
there.
this weekend or something. I got to figure out a decent topic. I don't know. Everybody liked the last one. It made it a little too grim. So maybe something about, sunshine and beaches or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, we'll just let me know. I'll be there. I'm your moderator. You're one.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm still
It's
flying blind and getting a little better. Like,
you're doing excellent.
American hero. I need an instruction manual.
Oh my God. You're hilarious. And we really appreciate you, Barry. Thank you for all you do for the research community and all that. You're awesome. Okay. All right, y'all. Of course. Well, everybody have a great day. And go out there, live in awareness, keep your head on a swivel. Okay. Always keep your head on a swivel, unless you're a blimmy. Okay. You're going to have to turn your whole body in that case. Keep your body on a swivel if you're a blimmy. But just live in awareness, no fear. And I'm sending all my love and light to you guys. I love y'all. And I will see you back here tomorrow. All right, Barry.
See you in a while.
Stay safe out there.
God
bless. Bye, y'all.